the 11th show. I want to say 11th. I never looked this up before, and I really should. Welcome to Movies, Music, and Mayhem. This week's guest is the one and only Adam Witt. I'm very excited to have him on. We've had some hijinks before, and we're going to delve into a whole bunch of stuff with him. A little bit of housekeeping. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best for coming and watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this video all over the place. And then I also have a Patreon, which will be listed above. So if you guys want to go and check that out, we are having our Golden Day chat and hangout at the end of the month. It's going to be the last Sunday of every month. It's at least an hour, but you know, who knows how long it'll end up lasting, because I can talk forever. You guys can talk forever. That's why we love each other. And now introducing the one and only Mr. Adam Witt.
Hold on, let me get my settings here. There we go. Right, there we go. Now I'm centered. I've been listening to so much John Williams lately. My goodness.
Oh my God. Tell me about it.
Oh my God.
So how have you been?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to see you. This is such a wonderful, I love this advancement in technology where, you know, it just, you know, I'll get a call from you or one of the other fans or whatever. It's like, hey, you want to drop in? I'm like, oh yeah, this is how we hang out now. Yeah. Like, and we're just going to do it on YouTube in front of a bunch of people, but this is how we get to hang out, which is great. I mean, I would have no contact with you. I mean, I wouldn't have seen you for 6-7 months now if we didn't do things like this, or every once in a while we'll meet outside of it in a Zoom chat or something too. A couple of Schmoes people. That's been really, really fun. And hopefully keeping people mentally healthy as well, you know, being able to interface like this, you know?
Yeah, I know that this has been a huge step for my mother, because she, like many of her generation, like don't really do technology too much.
Right.
And so now she's, you know, now I've got her Zooming and FaceTiming and, you know, she will pop in every now and then. Like I send her the link every week. So she like listens while she cooks dinner. It's the sweetest. So like
so great.
Mom has a YouTube account now. So it's like the most lovely thing ever. I'm like, you can look things up now too. Like, just be careful of the words you use.
Yeah.
But
it's great. I love that you know, she's done that. And that, I mean, if there's a silver lining to any of this, it's that we were already Jetsons. We just weren't putting faces on the little boxes on the computers and stuff. And I'm like, we just went full Jetsons with this whole thing. And even Mom's in on it, you know?
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah. You say Jetsons, I equate it to Demolition Man.
Ah, yes.
Where we're just like video chatting each other and all of a sudden, oops, wrong number.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
but
totally. So how have you been?
You know, it's funny, like a little bit earlier today, I just kind of went, today's the day. And I'm like, no, I have a show tonight. Like, I get to talk to Adam. I should be excited. I just like sat here like, it's Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday.
I wrote in marker on my, in the shower and on my mirror so that I'm presented with the fact. I wrote, don't forget this is fun. Like there was, I was doing a sketch show with my old comedy troupe. We came out because of this thing as well. And we did a couple half-hour sketch shows on Twitch. And, you know, there were a bit of effort and stuff and all of us getting together. And one day I was just like, oh, I got to do this. I can't believe it. I'm like, you get to hang out with, you know, 4 of your best friends from Chicago, put on a show, you know, like compared to shows we would do on stage, like on Twitch, we get like 150, 200 people, you know, I'm like, that is a packed theater and, you know, and performing our stuff. So I'm like, don't forget, this is fun.
And from all over the world too. It's not the same, like 12 people showing up all the time. It's like 120 people from Chicago and Miami and, you know, Belize and Germany. Like you never know who's going to end up tuning in.
How is your reach with this show? Have you been?
As far as I know, it's Schmodown.
Schmodown. Well,
like anybody's fans.
Well, that's the great thing about the Schmodown's fans too. Is you know, we've got some here. I see some names here that look familiar. You know. And,
yeah, I have very loyal. I have a very core loyal group that is here, and I love you guys for that.
You deserve a loyal group.
Thank you. If you guys are, you know, put in the chat like where you guys are from. We'll post it up. Because I actually don't know where a lot of you are from. I'm just like, oh. It's Mike K, who I absolutely love and adore, who says, don't forget this is fun. Should be a t-shirt. It should.
Yeah.
I also,
true.
I remember having a discussion with somebody one time where I kept saying, I have to do this. I have to do this. And they're like,
Yeah.
you're using the wrong word.
Uh-huh.
Like
You get.
you get to do it. You
Mm-hmm.
get to do this. You get to, a lot of people, well, that was one of the reasons why I stopped touring, was because I kept going, I have to go to Chicago. I have to go to, Omaha. Like, it was like, they're like, no, you get to. And I'm like, no, I've been there. I have to go now.
It's the nature of the beast. Everybody's comfortable in whatever paradigm they're in, trying to get to the next thing. And that's the only thing that they'll respect, is when they get to the next, level. But I always forget previous accomplishments, and people will point those out or bring up old videos and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's hilarious. I forget it. I wrote it and did it, and it got out there, and I moved on with my life or whatever. I go back and watch it, and I go, that guy's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I went scrolling through my photos on my phone and like on my laptop, and it was like from like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was just like, oh, I miss that person. I miss being able to do that. And like, you go in, and I was looking at my trips to Europe, and I was like, I can't wait to go back. Eventually. Not like I can't wait, like I'm gonna hop on a plane right now, but eventually, like I can't wait to do it safely.
But do you ever look at pictures nostalgically and stuff like that and go, I wish I was that person still? But then in the picture, you're like, that person was miserable. Even though I look nostalgically back and I go, but the problems that person had are, still, it's wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah. I wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Seuss line.
It could be a shirt as well.
Wherever you go, there you are.
There you are.
Yeah, I did that one time because I was just like, well, a lot of girls will, have that mentality of, I wish I was as thin as when I first thought I was fat.
Right.
Like, you look back and you're like, I thought I was fat when I was 16, and look how fucking hot I was. Like,
I always say that with movie stars when I talk about like periods in movie stars, that like Clint Eastwood is now old for the 4th time. There was when there was Clint Eastwood, which to my parents was old Clint Eastwood at that point, but then he got old for me, and then he got old a 3rd time, and now he's gotten old a 4th, and you're like, wow, this is the 4th old. I remember when all these people were old the 1st time.
Yeah. Oh. Alex says hi. Hi, sweet pea.
Hey,
I'm sure the lady extends to you as well.
I'll take it. No problem. I got no problem with that.
I have no problem being referred to as dude, so men should not be referred to, and should not take an insult to being referred to as lady, especially since lady is a weird term for me. As I sit here sipping my bourbon.
Put lady in quotes and own it that way. It's lady. I
prefer dame or broad. I feel like those are far more suitable terms for me, but not like Dame Judi Dench, like lowercase d.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, that's the radical one. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Dame. It is really funny that Dame is an official term. That's so funny. Broad. I mean,
yeah.
Broad sounds more regal, frankly. Lord of the Broad or whatever. You're like, oh, well, she's a broad. Oh, well, that must be British.
Oh my God, Lord of the Broads. That's such a great UK punk name. Oh my God, someone needs to get Lord of the Broads.
Hey man, you going to the Lord of the Broads concert?
Right? It needs to be one super skinny tiny kid with 4 really amazing Amazonian women around him on bass and guitar and drums and back of it would be amazing.
Yeah, what was the old Simply Irresistible, that video? Those girls, but they can actually play those instruments.
Yeah, exactly.
And carry broadswords on their back as well.
Yeah,
that would be the big part of this. They'd have something in the stage, pull that out, start beheading things. Where are the broads?
They play the axe and have a broadsword, like a big axe behind them, so they're both. That'd be amazing.
The broads. There's a punk group for you.
That's true.
An all-female punk group, broads. Hey, that's my mom.
That's your mom? Hi, Mom. I thought you were just throwing out babe, broad, dame, babe. Babe
yes.
Is fine.
Yeah, my mom's got all her own terms like that too. She has there's a mom translator. A lot of people are babe. Listen, babe.
Oh.
But if you get on the wrong side, you also get a babe. Look, babe.
Yeah, Yeah, I remember when people started being, it was the whole like rise of it makes it sound so awful, but like
Rise.
when women were like, like, don't call me sweetie, don't call me dear, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I legitimately have to do that because I don't remember fucking anyone's name.
Yeah.
So I'm
Oh,
always like,
yeah.
hey sweetie, hey baby, like, how you doing, sweet pea? Like, I
Yeah.
use
Well,
it. I use it as terms of affection, but also it's a very nice cover for. I've met 10,000 people in my life, and I don't remember what my name is right now. So
yeah. Yeah, oh, I know. That was the thing, doing a lot of shows and stuff in Chicago, and you get like 50 people a night at your small theater, and about a year in, there are people like, "Oh, we met at a show," and I'm like, yeah, I know. I swear, I'm not saying you're not memorable, which is how a lot of people take it.
yeah,
I'm like, no, I meet a lot of really great people whose names I forget. Sorry,
yeah.
but
I like to use. Oh, it was really bad lighting that night. I didn't recognize you.
yeah. And you know what? I used to consider it a victory too if I got that first letter right sometimes. Be like,
Yeah.
Carl, Charlie, or whatever. And they'd be offended. I'm like, I got the first letter. I've met so many people in the last year.
Yay me!
Yeah, come on, give me a little credit. And I
Oh,
would not be offended if someone forgot my name. I
oh
mean,
no. I mean, it
I
depends on
know
how long
something.
how long we've known each other. And like, to be fair, my mother's the only one who can call me by the wrong name because mothers always forget the names of their children or which one they're addressing. Like, I'm one of 3 daughters, so I didn't know that my name was Rachel until I was like 5 because it was Alicia Rachel. And
Oh,
then when my little sister, it was Alicia Rachel Jamie, and like she would hit it eventually,
I thought you
and
were
we
going
would
to
all
say,
just be like,
I didn't know my name because it was always, hey!
I mean, yes, I'm Italian, so that's hey you. Yeah, I always tell
You have
people
two sisters?
I have 2 sisters. Yeah, I'm the middle of 2. My older sister lives in Orlando. And my younger sister lives in the same city that my mom does in San Jose, California. So
Mhm.
it's yeah, it's there was a lot of estrogen in the house. Yeah, my stepmom ended up buying my dad a male dog just so he would have like testosterone on his side for something. Like if there was something going on in the house or like he wanted to get away, it was like, I'm gonna go out to the garage and like sit with the dog because the dog knows.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom was of 4 sisters as well, and you can tell there's got to be such an interesting mentality in the house because at some point you got to realize like if they'd gotten a girl and then a boy, they would have just had 2 kids. But they're
Yeah.
like, let's give it one more shot. Are you the youngest?
No, I'm middle. My little sister, so my older sister is 2 years older, and then my little sister is 4 years younger. And I know they wanted a boy, but then we had Jamie, and they were like, you know what, like 3 is enough.
Yeah, you just treat the third one like a boy, right? Did they named your youngest sister a boy's name, right? And then tried to get her into baseball, right?
Actually, the funniest thing is that like I'm pretty sure they had a boy's name picked out for her,
Mm-hmm.
but they ended up naming her Jamie,
Oh,
which
no,
is like, yeah, I mean,
one way or the other, right?
yeah. So like actually when my sister was pregnant, we couldn't tell if she was going to have a boy or a girl. So like one of the games we played at the shower was like who like we got in teams and like who could come up with the longest list of androgynous names.
Yeah, what's the name? It could be both, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of Laurens and Kellys and Tony, it's just a huge list. And then my stepmom was like, I really like Dylan, and we are like, Dylan,
There you go.
that's the one. Joey popped in and said, I found some old pictures, one where me and my wife didn't know each other, which is weird. She was showing them to Luke, which is when mommy and daddy were skinny.
Oh, you were skinny.
Luke is getting so big. Do you remember Luke?
Do I know Luke?
Yeah, so Joey's the one who takes all the photos during the matches.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
he would bring his son in every now and then, and like he was so short and fat and just wobbling around and like chasing all the dogs that would come in. He's so big now, it's so insane. Oh, he sends me like photos and videos. I'm just like, stop growing up. But okay, so movies, music, and mayhem. Obviously,
Yes,
we've gotten off
we have
into
3
the mayhem
topics.
a little bit.
We hit all 3 topics. Do you have
We do.
the 15-minute intro segment? Is it next one movies, then music, and then the last segment is it mayhem? Is that how that works?
We're not very structured. We just like to touch on them a little bit, but you have something really interesting that you've done that combines both the movies and the music. in that you edited a whole bunch of videos for the Hollywood Bowl presentations, right?
Yeah. Rest in peace. Yes. The Hollywood Bowl used to be my summer job. Now the Hollywood Bowl is nobody's summer job. Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, at the very least, it's outdoors. Like they could reopen it next year or whatever. But like, yeah, it's at least it's not an enclosed like Disney concert hall. It's like that's even rougher.
Yeah.
But no, I was very lucky enough to have a couple of my passions come together and just be in the right place in the right time to edit videos for John Williams and a couple other shows at the Hollywood Bowl. And so, growing up listening to John Williams and like only even getting into video and editing and all this sort of stuff because of my love of Star Wars. It's like, and then one day, it comes across of like, they need someone to edit some videos for John Williams. I'm like, I think I could do that. I'm pretty sure I've got the passions in line. Yeah. Very cool.
While internally you're freaking out like a 12-year-old girl at an NSYNC concert. Sorry, it makes me feel old, but I'm not referencing anybody younger than NSYNC. So
it's like NSYNC. I was like explaining to young kids like an older reference or whatever, and then to make fun of it, I'll just say, he's like I don't know, he was kind of like an economist in the it's like NSYNC. Like just like whatever your kids are into, that's what exactly it was like. But yeah, the big video projections, and you can go look. I mean, a lot of them aren't mine actually. If you go on YouTube, but a lot of people recorded the pieces I did there. I could post them later on Facebook too, because I can't actually put the actual videos I did out there in any way, except for my editing reel. But it's like the idea of the movie music. And then putting images to that. I mean, first of all, one of the reasons we love movie music is because it does complement the picture, or sometimes you could just sit and listen to these things and not even imagine the movie, but just how narrating some sort of story. All of the movie music is. The very first editing project I ever did on my own, just to learn editing, was to take Danny Elfman's Batman score and do a montage of Batman to that big opening number, and. Let me go ahead and close that window.
Guys, don't worry. The cops are. There's no cops yet. It's fine.
It's also almost fireworks o'clock in Mid-City. So.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I live in Glendale, so there's nobody has set off any fireworks around here, which I'm kind of shocked about.
It's a month-long celebration here. This neighborhood. It's out of control.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about people that are like, let's go blow stuff up. Like, it's a pandemic and, there are riots going on, but let's put some loud noises into the world right now because that's what we really need.
Well, it's just like everybody's got to have their thing that they're like, no, I'm even though there's the COVID, I'm taking this, or my haircut, or I got to go work out, or whatever. It's like these people, it's like fireworks. I do not care. Everybody gather in the yard, get closer and watch,
Get closer. Sorry, I was having flashbacks of like some summers of like, just smile for the camera.
Just smile. Just smile.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, and then I got to do these videos to these great pieces of music. The first one I did was it's called Jedi Steps and End Title from The Force Awakens. And actually, I did the Throne Room first, maybe the year before. But the big one, the first big one was, Force Awakens was still in theaters, not quite on Blu-ray. And then there was like a security lockdown for the first time in anything I worked on. There was like the footage came and like the actual, like it's not on, it's out to Blu-ray, but it's not being sold. Here's the file. And then when I would unlock there was like a vault. And when you get that out, then Disney knows that somebody got it out and who got it. Like they have, that's like a full connected thing. And
it's like checking evidence out with cops.
Yeah, and you got to return it by a certain time at the end of the day, because I think there was one day I went over and they did get a call like saying, we just wanted to check. We didn't see this got returned. And they're like, I was just working late on it. And it was an actual hard drive with a code on it too, which was fun. So you couldn't plug, if you plugged it in and didn't enter the code, it might lock itself or something. So that was kind of all fun and like cool security, But
you start humming the Mission Impossible theme to yourself.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Hopefully it didn't like smoke and like, you have 10 seconds to accept.
It's so funny when you're working on a piece, though, you listen to that piece over and over and over, and it's all you hum. It's all you think about. And so I don't think there would have been any way to hum the Mission Impossible theme without having it turn into.
I mean, talk about an iconic mashup, though.
What's that? Oh, yes, exactly.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Dun, 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 dun. I really like the last Mission Impossible movie. That score, Lorne Balfe. I didn't know who that was.
So good.
To it, but man, he really rocked it. And you think like there's nothing left to say on that piece of music. And each of the composers really finds a new way to do that, which is what's funny about like Star Wars is because, and I was just explaining this to probably deaf ears the other day, the fact that the first, it's now we've had all these movies. So of course in Rise of Skywalker, you're hearing this theme, and then you got the Yoda theme, and there's Luke's theme, and there's Rey's theme, and there's Chewbacca's theme, and there's R2-D2's theme, and it's like playing the hits, which some people complained about or whatever. I'm like, would you rather them not play the hits? Good call.
Who complained about that? Get out of here.
It's people who love Star Wars, frankly. All of the people on Twitter who say they hate The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker love those movies. They just want to talk about it. They just want to talk about it, which I'm fine with. I'm like, go for it. But I'm now spoiled because I get to engage with people like you guys, on Star Wars, which, I don't have to talk to normies about it anymore.
Normies. All those regular people, those fans. Well, speaking of Star Wars, you put in a hell of a performance in the Star Wars.
Do you think so? Because none of us Star Wars performers can see the forest for the trees. I walked away going, I know nothing about Star Wars. I thought I did, and I don't.
See, I get so proud of myself, more so watching and participating and playing along with the Star Wars League than I do with any of my matches that I've won. Because I'm like, if I get like 3 questions right in a Star Wars match, I'm like, I'm the best. I win. This is awesome.
And that's going to be a tough balance for the trivia writers as well, because you got to have those softballs in there because the audience loves to know a question, but like, I'm going to throw that up, like, who's the leader of the Max Rebo band or whoever, like, they're like, all right, those guys are going to get it. But for the people at home, like, oh, I think I know that. Or, Ewoks, or something like that.
I get excited when because there was Laura Kelly or Molly recently had a question in round 2 that she went multiple choice on, and I got the 2 points, and I was like, I'm better. I know this one. And I'm like, and that's the match. I'm done. Like, I stopped watching. I didn't because.
Well, and it feels like such a victory too, because the Dimalanta Scrimshaw match before mine, I didn't watch that before, but I gathered that they had both gone perfect. Actually, I saw the very end, which was really kind of all you needed to see in a way, the very ending challenge. And I was just like, oh man, perfect all the way through. And you know what? I know my trivia. Like, and I did a practice match with Kaiser and Parker and Zip and Smets the night before, and they couldn't stump me. Like, I was beating Smets and all this, and I'm like, all right, well, I know it, but of course there's always a question out there that you don't know. But what was exciting with yesterday's match is I was watching them get ones wrong that I knew, and I was like, well, thank God, like, because the Dimalanta Scrimshaw, that really throws the curve of the whole thing. I mean, even with the challenges and stuff, we had a much more normal match in that some of us didn't know some things. We didn't know everything, and Knapsack didn't know everything. And I was like, oh, so humanizing. But it also makes you realize, like, oof, Dimalanta and Laura Kelly, they are a whole other level, which is awesome. It's just cool that there's something like this that appreciates Star Wars on this level that everybody can enjoy and I can participate in. I mean, they let me play pickup basketball with Jordan, basically. I'm like, I'm a pretty good pickup basketball player. Pick up Jordan. You want to go? Let's do this, I mean,
sure, I guess I'll play. It's fine.
Yeah, went against the 96 Bulls and lost. Well.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I suck so bad.
Yeah.
But you didn't get to play against him, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Like you playing Roka. I mean, that's just like,
dude,
I'm not even supposed to be here.
Yeah, like nobody thinks I'm good. Like, there was a point, I think it was between round 2 and 3, that we were both just like breathing like we were just like, both of us were shook. And we look at each other. I think it's when Mark is doing the round 3 like rules, you know, and they like break away, like during the edit, they break away to like the list of rules. Yeah. And Sean and I look at each other. We're just like, how am I down by 1? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And then like the next week we ended up sitting next to each other to watch a match being taped. And we're sitting there like playing along with each other, and like their round 1 questions were so much easier than ours. Cause I think in our round 1, I think he got 5 and I got 4. Mm-hmm. Like for some reason they were just like those round 1 questions that like, we were like, I don't know. Wow. What's going on? So we're sitting there, we're like talking. I'm like, is it just me or is this way easier than our match? He's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Yeah. And then we kept playing and I beat him, but you know, whatever. No, that was an amazing match. I can't wait till we get to the singles. I want to play. I'm so ready. I
feel bad for you and other singles and teams players because like if I hadn't spoken up and said, yeah, I know Star Wars a little bit, you know, which prodded by Paul Preston because he and I would sit next to each other doing the, you know, in the studio. And I mean, he knows I know Star Wars, but as you start writing down questions, and he's like, how do you, what is that even? What is a Captain Typho?
It sounds like a disease. Like,
Captain Typho.
Like, I'm sorry, I can't come in today. I've got typho. Like, it's the captain. Like, it's real serious. Yeah.
But so I got to play in this tournament, but I mean, I feel so bad. I want to see you guys play, and there is a singles tournament coming up, I think, right? Or is that theoretical?
I don't know at this point. Until I get a call from Kate telling me what to do. Like, I'm just like, sure. Yeah, I'm still studying. I'm still watching movies and taking notes and doing whatever I need to do. But like, I also started binging Cheers 2 weeks ago, and now and like a week in, I found out that it was leaving Netflix on July 1st. So now I'm like, well, I really want to get through this, but I also really like. I've just found out that there's a singles tournament, so that would be ridiculous. Oh.
I mean, we should play. That'd be great.
We should play. I mean, I barely lost to Paul, who is now my teammate or my faction mate. So I think you and I would be very, very fun.
Oh,
I think playing you would be as much fun as I had playing Roka, because that was like so low key, and it was like a level of respect that we knew we were just there to have fun. And we weren't there to like rip on each other or anything. Like, it was very just like so much fun.
Well, that's kind of interesting too, because I just did another show last night. Let's get ready to Schmodown. Let's get ready to Schmocast. Is that what they're called? Let's get ready to talk. Let's get ready to talk Schmodown. That's right. And they were talking about how you know, Ken mentioned I guess that Cabrera, he had trained Cabrera. That was like a total Padawan, you know, for that
Padawan
combat.
Master, yeah.
Padawan and Master. And I said, you know, there's something so congenial about Star Wars, because I think everybody in the Star Wars League has one thing in common. We've never been able to obsess on Star Wars so freely as we can with each other. You know, I mean, it's you just don't go around having these conversations in normal life, but or being quizzed on this. But it was kind of the same thing I felt with Sean. Not that I trained Sean, but that there was like, if Sean wins, I'm okay with that, you know?
Yeah.
And it just makes you a little less vicious or whatever. And yeah, sure, of course I want to win, but you know, it's like, I'm okay with that result. And I think Napzok was the same way. It was like, go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you and Sean, you playing Sean was very much, it had the same kind of feeling to when the movie guys played Inky and the Brain. Cause like we were all like, the three of us were sitting down and like studying and like busting each other's balls like a half hour before our match. And it was just very like sweet and just fun and camaraderie. And it was like, there was nothing, you know, no pressure. It was just, we were just there to have fun. And I love that match.
You're the first competitor that I played. So we have that bond and relationship. Sean is the first fan I met going to watch the shows. And he was outside and having a smoke, and I was, and then we went in. But for some reason, I just assumed much like at the awards ceremony 2 years ago, I assumed everybody there was deep insiders. And it turned out half that room was there for the first time. And I now know all of them. And we all realized we were all brand new that night, but everybody thought everybody else. And the same thing with Sean. I was like, oh, this guy really knows his way around and everything. He must be a big insider. And like, a couple months later, I found out, no, I'm here, I'm a fan and, that sort of thing.
I adopted him and Jill because they're my favorite people in the entire. They're just the best. I mean,
Jill is now
co-hosting.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
I'm so excited. I mean, I know that we're up against them right now to go live, but still, like, I love them.
Are they playing opposite us right now?
Yeah.
Are we in a Happy Days and CBS mystery movie competition here?
100%. I think they're winning, but still, we're having more fun, so it's fine. Because we're not discussing like the seriousness of Schmodown. We're discussing the fun and the ridiculousness and the mayhem of it all.
We're making goofs. We're just making goofs. Don't forget, this is fun.
And like we get to do this. We don't get to do this.
Absolutely.
To do this.
Yeah. Somebody said that about the COVID mask thing, that now it's that personal rebellion. Someone's like, no, I'm going to die. Like, all right, have fun.
It's like if you want to die, there are other ways to do it. The mask isn't for you. The mask is for everyone else.
Right. And somebody said, you don't have to wear the mask. You get to.
Yeah.
You're alive and you don't have it.
If you put it on, you're a superhero because you're saving lives. Just wear your fucking masks.
And also, can we not, can you not, what's the bedazzle this? Can we not make a hobby out of this? Like, really, you're just gonna, no, I don't want to wear that at all. I'm like, what American has met an accoutrement that they can't make awesome,
My mother sent me handmade, homemade masks. Like, because she's my mom and she's the best.
You gotta flip off your mom and not wear that? Hell no.
Right? No. I'm not going to kill somebody else's mom because I don't want to sweat around my mouth for the 5 seconds I'm outside. Grow up, guys.
And also, like I've always been like anti-germaphobe, and I get the idea of like, you need to bring some, it doesn't mean pick up some dog poop and then lick your fingers. There's something in between there. I've never been much of a germaphobe, but now putting that thing on, I'm like, I kind of could have done this years ago because so much stuff is blowing in the air in Los Angeles that has been actually quite welcome on just a regular walk to have some filtration there, frankly. And like construction going on over here, all this stuff. And I'm like, do you know how much I'm not breathing now? Like, I'm so okay with this.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Just like, I remember the first like few weeks of quarantine where I would go out onto the balcony and just look out and actually be like, I'm not far from the hills, but I could see them so crystal clear. And like just driving around, you can see things. It was the air quality was so amazing.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that so many like social ills, such as air quality or not paying attention to climate change or some other, various sort of corporate entities and worker protections and all these things we could have spent years and years and years explaining to people like, no, this is why this is important. This is why. And one virus makes it so obvious that we need to protect workers, that the air is getting better. Like, it's all this stuff. It's like, wow, it is like a light switch. And, obviously it's terrible that so many people have passed away and everything, but there's another angle where you're like, wow, this is really just with a flip of the environmental switch showed us like, here's how fragile you are. Here's why and also like the great divisiveness in this country. And as far as America is right now, it brought us together. It doesn't feel that way, but it really did. It was like, oh, it's the old scenario of, if an alien lands, then we'll all be in this together and not be fighting each other. Well, as it turns out, some people are really addicted to fighting each other.
Yeah.
So, but have they not sort of ostracized themselves in kind of a strange way? It's just, there's like common sense now. And I feel like there's like, the common sense in this other bubble has been sort of broken off where, it's fascinating this time.
Common sense is not common. It's a superpower. And I'm just awaiting for my super, like, I'm just awaiting my super suit from Edna Modes because there's so few people that are like, I'll bring up something and be like, yeah, so you like the mask thing. The mask isn't for you. It's for everybody else. And if you keep everybody else from getting sick, then the cases will go down. And as the cases go down, you get your freedoms back. So wear the mask, and they're like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I'm like, it's literally the most like the easiest. A plus B equals C. Like just do
The
it.
logic is so unassailable of why we're wearing the mask that it's like the people that aren't like, oh, you're just being difficult. You're just that difficult type. If it wasn't this, it'd be something else. That should be like,
Yep.
Really? But statistically speaking, that asshole, right? It's like,
What did you
it's
post
the
the other
guy
day?
next to
Like,
my cubicle. It's the guy next to my dorm is always that, technically that guy. That guy's the last gasp of that guy. Well, technically.
well, actually. You take that actually and go fuck yourself.
Hi, that's a new comic character. Hi, I'm actually, and it's that actually.
Although let's get ready to talk to
Hey!
you on podcast. It was a pleasure to have you, Adam. Adam
Yeah,
is the best.
Yeah,
I like how they made your name a swear. Damn.
Damn. Oh, damn. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Those guys. Yeah, they're the.
I adore them.
Not a quiet moment on that podcast.
Oh, God, no. I remember getting like whenever somebody asks me to be on their show, I'm like, of course. So just so you know, I can't remember which show I was on, but I was like, so you're going to ask questions and I'm going to go off on tangents, and you're like, do not feel bad about literally like throwing a leash around me and dragging me back to the subject that you asked me about. Like, you're going to have to do that if you want to stay on topic. Like, because we will tangent the day as long as the day is. Was it somebody brought up? Someone's got a portal. This is what we do to stay safe.
I know, right? This is just, oh shoot! I just revealed my trick. There we go. I need to do a show of just nothing but little camera gags and stuff. I find this so fun. There's nothing cooler than actually looking at you. And nobody does this.
I know. Wait, nope. There we go.
Yeah,
so how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad we could have this chat. I'm glad we could hang out.
So good to see you. I'm actually really glad that I got you on as soon as I could, because I was terrified that you were going to shave your beard, because everybody has started to, and I love your beard. It makes me so happy.
Thank you. It feels very Jedi. It feels very, Obi-Wan and Luke,
Yeah. And I mean, you're going to have to grow it out for Christmas, because
at this point, I might need the work. I mean, really, I could, I am going to let it go, and I could I'd make a great Santa. Oh my gosh.
Such a lovely Santa. Like, I don't gain the weight. Don't do the fake belly. You could be like that hot Santa. It'd be so fun.
Yeah, get on the hot Santa calendar.
Hell yeah! Why not? Make that money.
Up my push-up regimen, man. Hot Santas, man. Those are good. Those guys are built like the woodworkers. Those
carpenters.
No. What's the competition on ESPN with all the axes and
lumberjacks?
You ever watch it? Lumberjacks, built like a lumberjack. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to watch those. They get me a little excited. The boys have to come in and check on me to make sure I'm okay, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. It's okay.
I once had a gay roommate for whom that is quite his type.
That is 100%.
That is pure porn for a gay man who likes bears. That is just, lumberjacks.
I literally had a friend of mine describe. She's like, we were talking about types, and I was on tour with Beauty and the Beast, and so there were a lot of gay and bisexual and transgender, like all the LGBTQ plus. Everybody was represented. We were having this nice little discussion about what our types were, and there were terms being thrown around, and I was like, I don't know, I just like them big and strong, and they're like, oh, you like lumberjacks, and I'm like, oh my god, that's perfect, lumberjacks and kilts. Done.
And then just everything in your life just suddenly collapses, and you see every book you read as a kid or whatever. You're like, that's why I gravitated on that page. That's why I liked brawny towels or whatever. Like, it all makes sense.
Although, to be fair, the brawny guy looks like ravishing Rick Rude, which
somebody airbrushed that. Rick Rude on the brawny towel thing.
It throws it back for those old wrestling fans, but. Actually, speaking of wrestling,
they could pick those names, couldn't they? Ravishing Rick Rude. God. I mean, how many names did they have stumble upon before they were like, Ravishing? That's the one. Rude? That ain't gonna work.
No, Ravishing Rick Rude.
Rallying? Yeah, no, Ravishing. Ravishing.
redundant. No.
Redundant Rude. Department of Redundancy Department.
Yes.
How may I help you?
But you and I got to hang out for a very special night of my life regarding a wrestler, and it was very.
I forget about that.
It was due in large part to the fact that Nick Foley was about to be a guest on Swings and Misses, which is Jen Sturger's show that she does with Eddie Pence and her husband. And I saw it on Twitter and I freaked out and I was like, I tweeted at him. I was like, you're gonna have so much fun. I'm so excited for you. And he was in town because he was doing his one-man show in Ontario. And what city did we go to?
It wasn't Ontario?
We did go to Ontario. It was Ontario and somewhere else, like further south. And he responded and then sent me a video of him.
Diamond Bar? Name off Inland Empire places. There's
somewhere down there. But he threw me on the list +1 and I was like so excited. And you and I went and it was one of the most amazing things ever.
Yeah, it was great. That's so great.
You're an old school wrestling fan too.
Yes. I mean, and to bring it back to Star Wars, it was absolutely the perfect because pop culture basically didn't exist till Star Wars. I mean, in any meaningful modern way, and after, I mean, the very idea that there would be an extended universe inside this movie you like to begin with, that was action figures. And the fact that I didn't know there were sequels till The Empire Strikes Back. But so as soon as Return of the Jedi was over, and I have to emphasize this for anybody who's a current Star Wars fan, they were never going to make another one of those ever again.
Yep.
We hoped for about 3 years, and then that Starlog stopped reporting that bullshit, But picking it up right there, and of course trained by Star Wars, G.I. Joe, like that very extensive group of G.I. Joes. That's pure Star Wars, or Transformers, all this sort of stuff. It was all branded, and you had to have content. They didn't have a movie, G.I. Joe, so they did cartoons and figured all that out.
Well, they did have a movie. G.I. Joe's had an animated movie in 1987 that I stumbled across. No, but I stumbled across it on my hard drive and lost my mind. I'm like, this is getting watched this week. I'm very excited to rewatch it.
It jumps the shark. The great thing is they waited for their own movie to jump the shark.
Oh yeah,
because the shark is the weird environmental. Like Cobra went full environmental creatures. There's a dragonfly man, and they were called Cobra La. And again, ravishing Rick Rude. You have any word you can add to Cobra and La? Cobra La. Like what? And that's what they did. They sung Cobra La. They go, Cobra La 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 La. It was ridiculous.
What?
Yeah.
I'm so excited to rewatch this.
Need to dig up that sound effect. But the one actor I remember was in it because I followed everything he did, and I was so excited, was John Bender, Breakfast Club. Blanking on the name. John Bender from Breakfast Club?
Oh, the actor. I was like, you just said it. It's from Breakfast Club.
Judd Nelson.
Yeah, Judd Nelson.
Judd Nelson, Burgess Meredith, another name I remember. I can't remember who plays Serpentor. But anyway, my point is this, that wrestling fit that. So as soon as we lost Star Wars, and that's a big hit as a kid, you're like, there's no more Star Wars, kids. No more Star Wars toys. No more Star Wars movies. Go on about your life. And you're like, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and wrestling. Because wrestling had the deep bench of characters too, with the deep plots. And you'd only see a little bit of the plot today, just like Star Wars. And you're like, oh, this stuff happened in the past or in the future and that sort of thing. So wrestling, and it's right when they hit that classic. I mean, because you look back at the documentaries on wrestling and you're like, who the hell was anybody in wrestling in 1984? In 1985, I can name everybody. Like Nikolai Volkov and
God.
Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan. It's that rock and wrestling animated lineup. That rock and wrestling, and somehow that all came together organically within the WWF at the time, WWE now. But you look at that rock and wrestling and you're like, that easily could be designed from the G.I. Joe guys. That is the guys. There's the Russian. There's the this. There's the that.
I'm pretty sure that the same guy who did the animation for G.I. Joe did the animation for the wrestling show. Because they were just, if you look at that, because I can literally have them pictured in my mind side by side. It's the same jawlines. It's the same, it's the exact same, just different clothes.
That's
Like,
so cool.
It
So
has to move over.
that came on like such a force. And the other thing was we were growing up. So I was, when Return of the Jedi comes out, I am, probably around 11, 12, something like that. So it's kind of, and there's a lot of pressure from other kids to go, stop watching your stupid Star Wars. You're not a kid anymore. Watch wrestling,
Watch Men in Tights instead.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. So yeah, and then the era you're talking about, the Attitude Era, which I didn't even know how to name, but wrestling sort of faded away. I got interested in other things and music and movies and college and all that sort of stuff. And then I moved to Chicago, and I had met Paul Preston and Karen Volpe maybe 6, 7, 8 months earlier. And they were the ones that started saying, "Are you following wrestling?" Oh, and my old friend Fred Mowry never stopped watching wrestling. So, and I was living with him, and everybody started getting into wrestling. I was like, was wrestling interesting again? And they're like, "Oh yeah, let me just sit you down and watch this." So I got sat down by all of them, and then you see Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Theatrics and The Rock. I think The Rock was already just a mainstay when I started watching again, but it's just like,
yeah, I went back and started watching. I went back and watched one of his old matches, and I was just, my jaw hit my lap. I was like, oh my God, I forgot that The Rock ever had hair. Like, ever.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And he did. He had like the Kid and Play, like high and tight. Like,
totally did.
It was so weird. It's so funny. Like, I don't know how, but he his head just kind of like widened out. I guess it happens for men. Like their jawlines widen, but it was just like, he looks so young back then. And
he's got a neck. He's got a neck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that happens. I don't want to say steroids, but I think even, just the way those people, that bulking program, that extra testosterone you're constantly juicing yourself for.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul and Karen.
Yeah, that was, and so all the wrestling shows I went to were with Paul and Karen. I mean, it's funny. Wrestling is so tied to Paul and Karen.
I can't even imagine Karen at a wrestling event. I would have died. That would be that would have been a dream. Had I known that she was a wrestling fan, I would have been.
She was very excited to hold the signs and all that stuff.
If she didn't have her face painted like the Ultimate Warrior and like the streamer armbands, I would have been so upset. Like I wish I had known, so we could have gone to like a local like LA. We could have gone to bar wrestling, and like it would have been so much fun.
Now, there's a local. Now I've got a couple comedian friends who are very obsessed with wrestling, and they all used to go to. There is maybe it's a little out east, but there's like a local wrestling show that happens, right? There's like and I've heard it's really good, and it only seats like 150 people, so you're like really involved in it.
You are right there. Yeah, there's a ton of people, and a lot of those wrestlers ended up getting picked up by AEW.
I keep saying this. I'm like, we should get a group, and I'm in later.
Eventually, when it's safe, we'll go.
Yeah, when it's safe.
That's basically how we have to live our lives now. When it's safe, we will go.
Until then, on TV shows. Don't forget, this is fun.
This is fun. We get to do this. Yeah, no, that was such a great night. We got to meet, we got to hang out with Mick Foley that night, and we got to
back to the
stories. It was such like a life moment for me because I grew up like idolizing him. He was just so amazing, and then I found out that he was like a New York Times best writer, and like he wrote all of his own stuff. He handwrit his first book and like handwrit it.
And he's a real beard Santa. Have you seen the documentary?
Yes.
He was on in fact, with John Roca. It was John Roca and Mick Foley were on the Movie Guys show with Karen and Paul and I, and Bart, I believe, as well in that episode. And we had Mick Foley, and he's obsessed with Christmas. The guy has so many great layers. Just when you think these wrestling guys, he is one that just unveiled a new level. He's a real beard. He loves Christmas. He has a Christmas room in his house. Mm-hmm. And at least in that documentary, he was trying out for a real beard Santa because he wanted to be a real beard Santa.
I love him so much. Yeah. And his favorite, we found out that night that his favorite Christmas movie is Elf.
Oh, yes.
So do with that what you will. It made me love him even more because now I just want to sit down and watch Elf with him like 24/7. I think that would be amazing just to hear him laugh the entire movie.
Well, let's walk the audience through that night because we just referred to it. So it was at the Improv in
was at the Improv in Ontario. We showed up, and there was an issue getting the tickets because I guess he forgot to tell somebody to put us on the list.
Oh,
which
yeah.
happens.
So this one right here, is like, I'm gonna,
I got
make this happen. We're on the list. Trust me, we're on the list.
It's fine.
We're with Rachel.
Rachel doesn't wait in lines. Rachel's too much of
Right
a no, we're fine. We're fine. Rachel knows people. It's fine. Live events, it's what I do. Or did, I should say.
Didn't you post something that he said you would get he would give you there was something he knew, that an Instagram post or something that he saw, right?
Well, it was Jen had tweeted out saying that McFoley was going to be on their show the next day. And I was like, oh my God, he's a hero of mine since I was like, before I can remember. Like I was dropping elbows off the couch onto my dad when I was 3, pretending I was like, you know, him. And it was just like the most amazing thing. And then he messaged me on Facebook or on Twitter and was like, hey, if you want to, like, I'm so glad you're a fan. If you want to come out. And I'm like, it's not you. And then he sent me a video and he's like, no, Rachel, it's me. Like, and I was like sitting on the couch at like 10:30 at night, like weeping, looking at my phone, like, oh, it's him. And like, I think Alex came out. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I've never been better. And so we talked for a little while that night and he was like, yeah, if you can make it out to a show, I'd love to have you out and get to meet you. And, you know, if you need some, you know, you +1 to either of the shows, just let me know. And so I'm like, sure, I'll go to Ontario and +1. And I like instantly reached out to you and Paul and I was like, who wants to go? Fight amongst yourselves. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I want to go. And then my car ended up overheating on the way there.
Oh, did
which
it?
Was fun. Yeah, remember? Like I was like, "Ooh, we're in stop and go traffic, and my car is overheating."
That's right. And I used to have a car that overheated, so I had the technique, which was, if your car's overheating, turn the heat on.
Yes.
Roll your windows down, and to blow the heat, you know, turn all the vents because it'll vent the heat from the engine. I used to have that problem. Yeah.
Turns out there was a cap that had rusted through, and a friend of mine went and got a new one, so that's not happening anymore. Yay. But we got there.
Not driving at all.
Yeah. Now I'm not doing anything.
So what we did was we had a virus go. We had someone release a virus, and now I just don't have to drive.
And now, yeah,
I'm sure there's an easier way to fix it.
Super convenient. But then we got there. There was an issue with the tickets, and then we got to hang out, and we ordered food and some drinks, and
it was a nice night at the Improv.
Yeah, he like rushed in, and he did a quick Q&A before he started his like show, and he called me out immediately.
Yes.
He literally messaged me like 3 minutes before he was going to take the stage, and he goes, "Hope you got a question for me." And I was like, "Oh God." So he comes on and he's like, "Yeah, I like to start my show with like a 2 or 3 question Q&A real quick." And he goes, wait, where's Rachel? I'm like, "Oh fuck." I'm like, "I'm right here." And I'm like crying a little. We hadn't actually like met face to face. Got to ask my question, which was, what was your favorite Christmas movie? We had a cute little talk about Elf. And then he did the rest of his show, and it was amazing. And then we got to go back into the green room after the show and hang out with him. And I felt really bad because he was like doing the post-show like food shovel into his mouth. And I'm like, we can leave. Yeah, I'm like, we can leave and come back. He's like, no. He's like, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, no, I understand, but you need to eat. Like, you were just on stage for 2 hours. Like, you need sustenance. Yeah. We got pictures with him and hung out, and then we got to drive back, and I was so excited and happy. And that was like one of the best nights of my life. And he's so articulate.
He's great. He's such a treasure of a person. I mean, to have live the life that he lived, and then the post life has been this just tremendous journey for him. You know, the writing the books, and I mean, and being able to do that, to be able to take his one-man show to all these stand-up venues, that opens you up to be able to just reach out to so many people. And he created that whole post-wrestling life for himself, which is so great.
And the place was packed, and with so many like diehard fans, and people were like, you could tell that everybody was there for the right reasons, because I looked around at one point and everyone is just sitting there just like wide-eyed, just grinning from ear to ear, like,
and when he called you out, it was that crowd that all went, she must, who is she?
Yeah. Like, the people sitting at the table with us were like, what?
Which also, by the way, feels, and I love it every time when we got to go backstage and meet him right after the show, and then after that, people who had paid a significant amount to spend, there's a half hour after the show where they got to Q&A and meet and greet. So we kind of snuck in before that. So as we're walking out, we're walking past all the line of all the people. It just always feels good. You're like, yeah, I was on the list. I got ahead of the line. No matter what the situation, that always feels good.
Yeah, I think we walked out and like, it always makes me feel a little weird because it's such kind of a douche move. But as we're walking out, he goes, stay in contact. I'm like, oh, you'll be hearing from me. Like as we're walking out and like people in the front of the line were hearing this. And I'm like, I sound like such an asshole, but I love him. So I don't care. Like his opinion is the only one that matters and he likes me. Mm-hmm. I'm actually really hoping to get him on one day. So we should cut this out and send it to him because
it came up
the best. He's so great.
Do it. He would totally do it.
100. I kind of want to wait until like Christmas time so I can have him on for a Christmas episode.
Great idea. A Christmas countdown with Mick Foley would be awesome. Yeah, talking Christmas movies with him. Like do a whole Christmas movie thing for the month of December and just maybe record him in one session and release it each week or something. Be kind of fun. Like here's his next pick. Yeah. If he had some picks that we don't even think about for Christmas movies.
I was thinking doing non-traditional Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Like things that like people watch around Christmas that like don't necessarily make the list.
Yeah.
Like of people's top 10. And I also kind of want him to do it in the Santa suit, but that's asking a lot, but a girl can dream.
That's what's amazing about this whole thing with the cameras. He doesn't have to he didn't have to put that suit in his car and take it to your house to put it on. He ain't doing that. But
I mean, he can if he wants to, Mick.
All he has to do is just grab it, throw it over and go, now I'm on a Zoom chat. And after I'm done, I'll take it off and I'll be in my house. That's what's great about this.
You don't even have to put the pants on.
Everybody's into this stuff because they're just sitting around home.
Yeah, you don't even have to put the pants on. Just throw the jacket on and maybe the hat. You're fine. It's totally fine.
I love that he has a Christmas room in his house that you can go to the Christmas room and it's Christmas in there. It's amazing. It's pretty great.
He could take us on a virtual tour. It'd be amazing. Yeah, no, there are dreams that I have for Mick. I just love him so dearly and
But that time in wrestling, that was really special. I mean, they were just exceptionally, it's all the talent and everything too, but I feel like I didn't have the perspective on how the plot, actually, when I was a kid, the plots weren't much, there was no plots. There was this guy'd lose, that guy turned heel, that guy, whatever. But then, when Steve Austin had to start to keep topping himself and new matches where he could, stick it to the man and all that sort of stuff, like all the classic, like working class things that people like to cheer on in wrestling, Yeah. When I was a kid, it was all Russia. I was like, fuck Russia, and every Hulk Hogan song had to be like, America, America, a freedom, America. And you're like, and you hear those songs, they might as well be playing over Rambo as well. And you're it's hilarious. Like, whenever I see Trump hugging the flag, I'm like, that's how an idiot does patriotism. And I feel wrestling probably felt the same way. If you look back at something, you're like, it's America, cause freedom in America. And you're like,
but nobody hated Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming out with the American flag, who, by the way, is on Chris Jericho's cruise in February. And Jericho is now part of the Schmodown.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be a real interesting, fun tie-in. I am so excited to have Jericho come in. Like, everybody knows that I'm excited for my unofficial co-host of Kevin Smith to come in. And I get to meet him, and they know my love of him. He'll never come on this show. I actually can't wait to clip that out 2 years from now and be like, Kevin, so how you doing, buddy? Just us.
Let's do a better take. Let's do a better take. So you can clip this out.
Okay.
So what did you say? Kevin Smith's never going to come on the show.
Yeah, no, Kevin Smith is never going to come on this show.
And what do I say? Oh, just you wait. All right, let's do one more take.
Okay. One more take. Yeah, Kevin Smith is never going to come on this show.
Just you wait.
I mean, we'll see.
There we go. That's a good one.
Great.
We should make everything like that.
And Prince. Moving on.
All right. Next topic. Music. We got to miss Mayhem now. Are we behind on our block?
No.
We have the 5s. We got Traffic on the 10s. And we got Mayhem on the 15s. Right?
Well,
Mayhem throughout.
A little bit more on the music. So I always love hearing about people's first concert going experience. So what was your first concert?
Well, I don't know if Mom is still watching, but Mom and my stepdad and my best friend all went to Def Leppard for the Hysteria tour. First leg of the Hysteria tour at UD Arena in the round.
Mom, you're awesome.
I mean, come on, man. Def Leppard Hysteria tour. Oh my God.
So jealous.
First concert ever. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I got to go to their reunion tour for that. I think it was like Def Leppard and God, who was it?
There's a tour called 10 for their 10th album.
Maybe it was for 10.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they do reunions. I think they're still together, actually.
Well, like not like a reunion tour, but like an anniversary tour.
Gotcha. Oh,
yeah.
Hysteria. I wonder if they've ever done a concert where they played Hysteria all the way through. That would be fascinating. Like some of those concerts, took my parents to Yes, and Yes did one of their albums all the way through, Tales from Topographical Oceans, I think, and then like half of another album. That was kind of cool because those albums, they're a whole experience. Not Def Leppard isn't exactly Pink Floyd metal, but but it's
not The Wall, but it's
not The Wall, but it'd be fun. I don't know why reach for metal instead of The Wall. A more comprehensive work, I would say, The Wall is. Yeah, exactly. Which I got to see that in the LA Coliseum. The Roger Waters did The Wall like 7 years ago now in the LA Coliseum. Wow, that was one of those ones you're like, well, I never thought I'd be able to see this, and now I got it in.
He's one that I would love to see live, but like I think he's stopped since then, and I was still touring when he was like doing his last tour. So it's kind of hit or miss, but it's just one of those things that I just to see that. Like I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and just stared at the wall because they have The Wall there, and I just remember standing there and being like, I'm never gonna see this live. Shit.
Really interesting. I mean, I don't know. I should look up how that album came together because the stage show, you would think they developed it right along with the album. You're like, oh, I see. And because they do slowly build the wall throughout the whole thing. I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube. He's been doing the concert for years. But they have a set inside one of the walls, like the guy watching the TV, with the, sound in the background. And so that's inside one of the walls and they're building on top of it. So there's sets in part of it. And then they would project the faces of people killed in various wars all over the wall. And, to use the wall as that symbol, I mean, I'm sure it was always that symbolic for him. It's a very symbolic album. And, he grew up in war-torn Britain. And, but, to see faces projected on of people who have died in these wars on every brick, and then to tear down that wall. I mean, I assume the symbolism was always there for that album, but it never was when I listened to it. I saw that and I was like, wow, what a cohesive piece. And now that listening, that's never going to be the same because it's just,
Yeah, there are just some bands that like once you see them live, you can never experience them any other way. Like you have to see them live.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that your first concert was your favorite, or do you have more favorite?
If you include John Williams, my favorite is going to be the premiere of The Force Awakens, 9-minute Jedi steps and end credits montage, 9 minutes of video with full orchestra. That would be hard to beat.
That sounds amazing.
And because that also justified an entire lifetime of love of Star Wars too. I was like, it wasn't worthless. I'm here. This was actually my job this summer, So that was like one of those things, pretty cool. So I guess I would say the best, but I had a great phase. So I was lucky enough when I was a sophomore in high school, I changed towns. My parents moved so I could be in a town where I could get into the college there in Oxford, Ohio. So to prep me for college, and my stepdad got a new job. We ended up moving that town. We moved right next to a radio tower for 97X, the future of rock and roll, if you know the reference from Rain Man.
My God, yeah.
Next, the future of rock and roll, which then Rain Man repeats over and over.
Yeah.
That transmission tower was next to my house. It came through everything. I had a clock radio that was so cheesy, a Radio Shack clock radio, and the guts in it were so simple that it took over every station. It only got one station, which was 97X.
Oh my God. That sounds like a movie made in the 70s. Like
Citizens Band.
Yeah,
But
it sounds like a horror movie. Like, my radio doesn't get anything but this one station, and then it gets haunted.
yeah, oh, that's definitely a Twilight Zone. Like, and then
Yeah.
the radio, and now I haven't listened to it, but now what's the radio saying? Wait, what is that? And now there's a warning face. I'd love to write Twilight Zones. I love how all this stuff's backwards engineered. But that 1992 was when alternative broke for real. Like, obviously there was always college radio, and that's what 97X was, but they had a high wattage station. So they served a large area, and you just couldn't go to an alternative station. And this one was so proud of their alt rock. So those years I worked at Little Caesars and we had 4 phones, and 97X would have the phones from hell. And when you'd hear the phones from hell, we'd all stop what we were doing in the service industry, and we'd all go call. And so we won tickets, and we were always going to Cincinnati to Bogarts to watch random bands and stuff. That was good. That was a good couple years. You've been to Bogarts?
I've been to Bogarts. I've toured through Cincinnati many times.
Right? Oh, and so you know that area. I mean, so we're seeing Urban Dance Squad, and They Might Be Giants, and just all these random bands that you hear, Aztec Camera or whatever. So that was really fun. That was a really fun time because those are intimate shows. So I'd only ever been to concerts in like the big arenas. So that's a whole different thing, you know. That's that sort of being in a small. So there's the Hollywood Bowl experience, there's the standard concert experience like Def Leppard, and then there's that sort of club experience, which is really, really fun, you know?
Yeah, I remember being in Boston, I think it was definitely Boston, and meeting a friend for drinks. And he like picked me up at the hotel that we were staying at because we were on tour, picked me up at the hotel, took me to like this bar in the middle of like nowhere because that's basically where we were. And we were sitting there and they had like a show going on, but there was like 12 people there. So the guy was like, you here for the show? We're like, no, I haven't seen him in like 5 years. Like, we're just going to have a drink and catch up. He's like, all right, just go in. Like, didn't even check IDs. He's like, it's fine. Just go ahead. And it was New Politics.
Stuff.
but it was New Politics. And like, they're pretty big now and like running these massive tours and stuff. And I have this very vivid memory of them playing on stage and then them turning the stage lights off. And they had, the guitarist had a glow stick on his arm and little ones on his fingers on the fretboard. And then the drummer had glow sticks on his drumsticks and the singer had one on the mic. And it was just like, they just turned off all the lights and all you saw were the drumsticks and like the glow lights. And it was so fucking cool. And I was like, that's a really great idea. And like, I just talked to them afterwards. I'm like, I'm really excited to see what you guys do from now. And then I ended up running into them backstage at some like radio show at Shoreline in Northern California. And I was like, I saw you guys years ago at this bar. And they're like, oh my God, you talked to us about our glow sticks. And I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
I was like, congratulations for all your success.
Just enough people to, you know, that they could remember everybody in the in the audience there.
Yeah, it was just very, very surreal. Because I was like, yeah, I toured because like I met them after I had stopped touring with bands. And so I was like, yeah, I used to tour with these guys and I was on Warped Tour and all this. And I was like, I think you guys are really great. And I love this shtick that you have.
What did you do on the Warped Tour? Because that sounds like a crazy tour.
It is fucking nuts.
I mean, that's like moving an entire circus every time, right? I mean, there's just
it's an entire city that you have to build and then pack up and then move. It was there was 2 main stages, there were 2 A level stages, 2B, 2C, 4D. So it was like 8 to 10 stages, and then there were always
food and all that stuff.
Well, the food was always local, and then there were the vendors, the merchandise, the sponsors, the nonprofits. It was like at least 1,200 people a day.
That was a new height for concerts at that time, like the complexity of that. Like Lollapalooza, I guess, but that was only like a one-time thing. But this one, like as a traveling tour, that was
25 years.
That's right.
It was 25 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Kevin Lyman is a god in the industry. He created this whole concept and then brought it to fruition, and it literally started careers. Like Eminem was on that tour, Katy Perry, No Doubt, 311, Like if you go back and look at the first like 5 years of Warped Tour and just like not even the people on the main stage, but people on the side stage, like Ice Cube was on, or not, Ice T was on one year and rode on Kevin's bus with him. Like it's so weird. Like going back and looking at everybody who has been on Warped Tour and who like owes their careers to Warped Tour, because like Katy Perry was on the tour, and she went from side stage to main stage within like 3 weeks because I Kissed a Girl was on the radio.
So she started that tour before that single came out, and it's like, yeah, we have a bigger stage for you now.
Yeah, she actually got found because of MySpace Music, and somebody sent Kevin the link to her MySpace Music page, and he was like, I really like her. This song is like, he's like, I really like this girl. Let's see what we can do about getting this single played on the radio. And he was instrumental in getting I Kissed a Girl released that summer. Booked her for the tour. She was playing a side stage when it first came out, and then it just fucking exploded. And then she ended up on the main stage, not just on the main stage, but like headlining, getting that extra 5 minutes at the end of the night, and everybody stayed. And it was the most amazing thing just to get to watch that happen. And the guys in her band were really, really fun because they would get to come and hang out with everybody because they would play and then be done. But then she would have to like go and do radio interviews and like Fuse interviews and like stuff like this. And she was just constantly busy, like running from one thing to the next. And it was like, it was one of those things that like when I saw her, like every now and then she would be out and I'm just like, are you okay? Like, how are you doing? Like, everything good? Like this is insane, and I'm proud of you and congratulations, but like, are you okay? Like, do you need some time off? Like, do you want to come hang out in like the reverse daycare? Because I got out as a massage therapist.
You were a massage therapist for the Warped Tour?
Yeah, I was. So they had one backstage for the bands and stuff, but I approached Kevin Lyman at was it not Whiskey A Go-Go? What's across the street at the Viper Room? A nonprofit that I was working for was doing a kickoff event for Warped Tour, and Kevin was there. We ended up standing side by side, and a Japanese punk metal all-female band ended on stage like they do, and Kevin was standing right next to me, and I broached him the idea of having a massage therapist in reverse daycare for the parents, and he really liked the idea. And then I tried out that year and everybody loved me. And the next 2 years, I was on the entire thing. And then I was a brand ambassador and I was an MC. And then I ended up
in the tour. So you saw every aspect of it, like the side to the actual, just like hooking trucks up and that sort of stuff.
Kind of, yeah. And then I was, tour managed for some of the nonprofits and got called out every now and then to come fill in because somebody would get hurt and I would fly in and help out.
Hey, Mick Foley fell off the top of the cage.
We actually one summer had luchador, like we had lucha libre wrestling.
Surprised. That's awesome.
And we had like I know the term is not PC, but we had like a freak show on the tour. So we had like strongmen and like the tattooed man, which the tattooed man on Warped Tour is kind of redundant.
What is the politically correct term for people that have puzzle pieces tattooed all over their face now? I forget. I can't keep up with PC culture.
I believe his name is Norman. Yeah. But we had like, we had I can't remember what the piece, like we had little people and like, tightrope walkers and like all this stuff, and they traveled with you really did get the full like it was an actual circus. Yeah, that summer it was an actual circus.
Rose sideshow?
Kind of.
Rose sideshow? That they played at Bogart's a lot of times too.
But we had but the lucha libre wrestlers would come out and play kickball with us. Nice. And like whoever got them on their team, everybody was like, well, you're gonna win because those guys have thighs like this and they're like solid muscle, and they literally would kick these rubber balls and we're like, and that died. Like that's gone. It's in the next county.
That's one of those moments in life where you take a long view of your moment and you're like, I'm playing soccer with luchadors as a part,
And they were like well, the best part was that we were playing that summer. We were sponsored. The backline sponsor was Pabst Blue Ribbon, and so each of the production buses would get a case of water and a case of Pabst Blue Ribbon every day.
All right.
every day. And so like people, you know, like
they turned that into the hipster beer. I mean, they really
yeah.
like that happened, and you look back at the advertising of that and you're like, oh yeah, they really worked that angle. Like some free beer to the Warped Tour. Before you know it, that's going to be the hipster beer.
Yeah, the following summer was when it like really hit and was like the beer to have. But like all of everybody that was on Warped Tour the previous summer had enough. Like, you know, when you over drink a certain liquor and you're like, I'm never touching that again. That was
what I do. And I will share it with you.
That was Pabst Blue Ribbon for us. So like when everybody was like, oh, PBR, blah, 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 we're like, no, we're good.
My sketch comedy troupe, Schadenfreude, we did a 2-year run in a Rogers Park in Chicago, and we were in this small venue, and we were trying to get people's attention. And so our initial offering was $5 for the show, and we'll give you a free beer. Oh. So $5 and a free beer. And so we bought so many cases of Miller Genuine Draft and Budweiser and Bud Light that year. Oh. Miller Genuine Draft, I thought was a beer I liked at the time. I only drank that. I can't believe just how bad a beer can be. It is the taste of the beer that you open at the end of the night, but don't drink any of, leave on the table. The next morning, that taste, but cold.
Yeah.
Draft. I can never drink that again. Oh, the number of nights drinking MGD. Ooh.
Yeah, I feel that way about Heineken, but I always felt that way about, like, I never overdrank Heineken in order to feel that way. I just felt like Heineken tasted like what your piss would taste like after a night of drinking Bud Light. Like, that's Heineken in my brain. But yeah. I mean, to each their own. And if Heineken is your favorite beer, like I'm never gonna get sponsored by Heineken, so it's fine. I'm never seeking that out, nor will I pimp that beer. I cannot palate that beer. But yeah, it's that summer was really fun. Yeah. But we actually, PBR as the backline sponsor, we played, they sent out kickball accoutrement. So we got like bases and buckets and balls. They also sent out the PBR Kickball Rules.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you've ever played by PBR Kickball Rules, but the rules are there's
not just baseball with a ball you kick?
No. There are buckets along with each base, and each of the buckets is filled with beer in ice.
Okay.
At the plate.
I'm listening.
At the plate, you have to pick a beer up before, like, as you approach the base, you pick a beer up, you open it, and you have to drink the beer as you're kicking.
Okay, nice. I like that.
However far you get, you are not allowed to advance to the next base. So like, say you're drinking your beer, you kick the ball and you get a double and you run to second base. The next batter comes up and kicks the ball. You're not allowed to advance your base until you finish that beer in your hand.
Okay, so you're at home plate, you crack a beer, right?
Yep.
You don't have to like drink and kick at the same time. You just that's your beer, right?
Nope, you drink and kick at the same time.
As you're kicking, right?
You drink and kick.
So then you run to first base, and now you say it's half full, right?
Yep. But as long as, like, it's one of those, like, if you kicked a single,
you have to finish it and then run, or you have to,
you would do the same. You cannot continue on base wise until you finish that beer, and then once
first base, you pull out a new one, right?
Yes.
And you can't go to second base until you're finished.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Which is why you have to kick a very long ball so you can run to third on one beer.
Ah, I see. Strategy.
Yes. It was very strategic. I did not play that season. Except for we were in Minnesota, and we got to play kickball on the Minnesota Twins field, because we were playing we were playing in the parking lot, I think, and we got to play that night's kickball in the stadium. And I'm like, well, I'm playing tonight. Like, of course I'm playing. Like, I used to just keep score. But I'm like, no, I'm playing tonight. That's fun. I'm actually really sad we never got to play in Detroit, because the concert was always in the Tiger Stadium parking lot. And they would open the stadium itself to like be able to go and hang out. And there was like, I think we would put like the nonprofits inside the stadium in the halls.
Then that was a dome, right? The Pontiac Silver Dome? Is that what you're talking about? Or
No, the Tiger Stadium.
Oh,
so the dome is like across the street.
Gotcha.
But Tiger Stadium has like the big stone tigers like that are prowling around the top of the stadium. It's so cool. It's such a great stadium. But one year the Tigers were doing like batting practice during Warped Tour.
Yes.
So like all of the like there were no parents in reverse daycare that year. They were all just like legit, like they had all talked to the security guards in the stadium because no one was allowed to go into the stadium seats except for the parents, because the parents were like, yeah, our kids are in here. We're just going to sit here. So like all of these parents were just sitting, watching the Tigers do batting practice. And I had nothing to do that day. So I went and joined them.
Right on.
It was pretty great. It was so much fun. And then we had the Keep Abreast party, which we always refer to as the booby party, which is amazing.
Booby party?
The booby party, yeah. There was a sponsored Keep Abreast is a nonprofit for breast cancer and like self-checking for men and women. And they would host a party and like sponsor a party in a different city. So like one year it was in Denver and that year it was in Detroit. And it was hilarious. And we all wore mustaches because mustaches were like the thing at the time. That was the year that like everybody got their mustache tattoo on their finger.
Ah, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh.
They're not the freak show. They're just
just the mustache on the finger. Yeah. Which I would love to see how many people still have that because hand tattoos wear out so quickly.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that had to be the most committed to actually do the tattoo thing there. But that was like the most that kid that did that was the primo hipster. Like he got all the ladies, he got all the attention. That was the guy.
That was like 80% of the people on Warped Tour. Basically, because we all got bored and there was a tattoo guy out on the tour.
Yeah, it's like
you should
Lord
never
all together, you get a tattoo.
Exactly. I mean, I always said that my first the first national tour that I ever did, I would get a tattoo to commemorate it. And it happened to be the 13th year of Warped Tour. So I got a like the hobo bag, like the stick with the pouch tied to it. I got that tattooed on the side of my foot with the number 13 on the side. Yeah, and so I got that, but it was also like Friday the 13th. And
13.
Yeah, it was a big year.
Dementia 13. That was Francis Ford Coppola's first movie.
Ah. I forgot about that.
And what a great name for a movie. Dementia 13. I don't even know what that means. That sounds like 13 old people just don't, have lost their faculties or wandering around that sounds like, if you actually put what that title means, it's no good, but
it sounds like Judd Apatow's version of Cocoon.
Dementia 13?
Yeah. Like just that description.
Oh, Judd Apatow's Cocoon. That should be remade.
Yeah. It should. Although
didn't someone say like the people, the age in that movie that they're like all these people are like so old they're going to be taken to space. Like somebody said, like the Wilford Brimley in that movie is the same age Vin Diesel is. I think that's the truth.
Yeah, he's like 45 to 50 somewhere in there, and I'm like, why are you in a home? Like I understand you have the mustache and you look super old, but like you go back and you look at how young, like you realize how young old people were in like the 80s and 90s movies, and you're like, what the fuck? And now everybody looks like they're 25 when they're 70, and it's just like super confusing these days.
I miss a good old-fashioned movie where everybody in high school is 20.
Right?
I love that. That was so great. When are they going to make another movie where everyone in high school is 20? Because all the 20-year-olds playing high school students were much better actors than 16-year-olds because, I don't know, 4 years experience. Like it's like you get a better performance. But yeah, or like the
30-year-olds being like, I'm a senior, I'm a sophomore. It's like, no.
Hello, fellow teens. Yes.
Like, no, you're not. Yeah, hello, fellow teens. I'm not a narc.
Yeah. I love all the 20-year-olds playing, especially in all the old horror movies and stuff. That was always the 25-year-old kids are supposedly still doing summer camp and stuff. Yeah.
23-year-old Johnny Depp is like a 16-year-old.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But what are you going to choose? An actual 16-year-old? Who would that have been in 1984 if you didn't get Johnny Depp? Perfect call. For anybody who doesn't know, Johnny Depp is in the very first Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's what I was referring to.
Director of Swamp Thing.
Yes.
I mean, we're here to throw some movie knowledge at you guys as well. We're here to let you know.
Yeah.
We do have a movie reference here. Camshaft says, and tied together 2 points here, which is great, which is Dennis Hopper plus.
Yes.
We went from Pabst Blue Ribbon to Heineken talking about, but the beer you get sick of, but the actual line is Heineken, fuck that shit, Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Oh, PBR. Jedi Nick Pimp says PBR is my go-to when I visit the States. Just there are so much better local breweries these days. You can just avoid that at all costs.
But that guy didn't get PBR. I just realized, they don't have PBR in Britain or wherever he's from.
Because they have standards.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
That's where real beer comes from, is the UK and Germany.
But you've had all those German beers and stuff. If you're in Europe and you've got nothing but German and British brews, PBR is going to be quite refreshing, I have to tell you.
Yeah. We're
choosing PBR over a Bud Light or whatever, this sort of thing. But if you're got all those kind of rich German brews and stuff, I just need something to sip. I just mowed the lawn. I don't need a flagon of mead or whatever.
Yeah, I don't need to chew my way through a pint
or whatever.
I mean, I will say this. I'm actually really sad because of all we staying at home and COVID and all that. We live within walking distance of Golden Road Brewery.
Oh, and they're closed, right?
And it's closed.
That's so sad.
I mean, I think they're doing to-go orders and because first of all, they have great food, but they also have some of the
I love Golden Road's beer.
Oh my God, it's so great. So when we moved here, I was one of the best parts, we're less than a mile from Golden Road, so we can walk there on a nice summer evening and hang out and enjoy our day and then Uber home for $1 a person.
Yeah.
And now we're well, maybe we can do that in the
walking distance, isn't it? Don't they have can't they create a whole huge beer garden around that place?
I mean,
6 feet apart is beer garden paradise, right?
I mean, they do kind of, but it gets so packed. We were there for Kalinowski's birthday, and it happened to be one of the nights that the Dodgers were playing a playoff game, and it was nuts to butts. You could not move. So and it's a favorite of everybody's in the area. It is well appreciated across the valley and into Hollywood. So people come from all over to go to this place, and it's amazing beer and such great food. And now I sound like a commercial for Golden Road, but it's fine. They can sponsor me.
Golden Road, it's the right place at the right time, and it's a beer that's not going to fill you up, and it's going to.
Dude, they're spicy
with the finest hops.
If you live near, I think it's Wine and More, or what's it, Liquor to Go or something. I think they carry the spicy mango beer, and it is epic. It's so
had that one.
Good.
And then what is it? The Surfboard is the main lager, right? Or is that a different company?
I think it's a different company. Oh, look who's here. Hi, honey.
Sean Sullivan has joined the chat. Sean Sullivan has joined the chat.
Such a sweet boy. I
think Sean would have beat. I think Sean would have won that Star Wars match yesterday. That was my report to him. I won. I played along with him, and I thought, Sean would have beat both those guys yesterday. So anyway,
I got 3 points.
You got 3 points?
I was very proud of those 3 points.
I know stuff. I'm smart.
I know Star Wars. I remember the question of what does Maz Kanata refer to Chewie as? And I was sitting in the studio during that, and I'm I know this one. Guys, I know this one.
Because it's a fun, cute line, right?
and also, it was a Star Wars question that I knew the answer to without guessing.
Yeah.
All of those color questions. I'm it's either going to be red, yellow, blue, or black.
So many things to be confused, which is funny because I answered over 1,000 years in my match, which is me confusing Obi-Wan's line for over 1,000 generations. The Jedis have been the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. Whereas the other one's just 1,000 lines. And that's the problem with knowing a lot of Star Wars. You're 1,000 comes up a lot. So you got to.
And especially with what is it? The transport, weapons, whatever. I have like a
TIE
slight case of-
Interceptor, TIE Striker,
Yeah.
Tri-Fighter. Like, oh, shut up.
But not even that. Like, I just have like a slight case of dyslexia. So like the AT37Bs, I'm just like, I have no idea. Not at all.
Yeah, but you know what? That's for guys like Sean and I. That's so much fun to know those names. You know, so it's like
Yeah.
I think it just hits a different pleasure center, and that's certainly from when I was a kid till now. That it's just always been exciting because you'd see the AT-AT in the movie, but then you see the little AT-ST, but that wouldn't be named. You could buy a toy called the AT-AT, but you're like, what's that thing? You know, that just sort of stokes, or the fact that, you know, there was TIE fighters, but then in Jedi, they had these special wings and they were called TIE Interceptors. And you're like, ooh. So now every time I'm like, oh, what's the new one called? What's that thing called? Yeah.
It's like one slight difference, and it's like there's an extra bolt in this one. That's what makes it an AT-AZ. And it's like, I don't know.
Super Jedi killing power. Now you can kill Jedis from 200 feet away.
Instead of 195. Like, it's just yeah.
Oh, the AT-ATs, it's gotten pretty silly. That's what's kind of funny. When I was doing some studying, I'm like, there's a couple of those I don't know if I know the names of. And one of them is there's like the thing that the battering ram cannon is being hauled with is by AT-HHs. Like, oh, shut up. But, you know, and now it's stuck in there. So,
Sean, that's my favorite stuff. Yeah. Random little facts over quotes any day. See, I am the exact opposite. I'm like, I can remember quotes because I can walk out of a movie if I love it. I can quote it instantly.
Love
it.
And you speak movie quotes with friends, right? You guys speak in movie quotes.
Oh,
I think all the Schmodown people do that. But that was like back in high school and stuff. Like only a couple people were like, "Oh, you know all the words to Stripes?" And I'm like, "All right, we can talk in Stripes." You know,
what are the chickens cross the road to get from the left to the right? 100. I was like 8 years old, running around the house screaming that. Like I didn't understand what the Aunt Jemima treatment meant until I was like 15. So yay on
right.
which apparently is going to have to get changed now. So I mean,
that was already dated. Now it's dated again.
Yeah,
that scene has become extra uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, nothing will beat the scene, or like the scene after that, where it's just a shot of the bed and the case at the end of it, and nothing's happening, and then the top opens, and he comes out, and like, I love watching that movie with people for the first time, and I'm like, look, this is two separate movies put together, but they're both great.
Yeah,
just enjoy it for what it is. They're like, whatever, and then they love it.
That Bill Murray style of that sort of like classic smartass guy that was in all those movies, that he was just your hero because he was there to make fun of the uptights and here to make fun of the morons. And there was just always that Jeff Winger, which of course became the name of the character. I thought it was wonderful when I first started watching Community. I was like, they hired Chevy Chase and the main character's name is Jeff Winger. I'm like, I'm going to like this show. And they play that Jeff Wingerness so well. That classic Jeff Winger type character, you know.
So good. Yes, Camshaft. I speak fluent Kevin Smith.
Oh yes, we could speak Kevin Smith. We should speak some Kevin Smith.
He just did a Jaws rewatch, and he tweeted along with it. And really? he was like, yeah, I love this movie so much. I referenced it in Clerks, and I'm like, of course you did. Da-da, da-da. Salsa shark. Like, I literally, if you're a fan of Kevin Smith, you cannot eat chips and salsa without doing that at least once. Like, you have to do it.
That was like that was just such a classic joke. Or you can't reach into a Pringles can without thinking to yourself, you know what I just saw?
Yeah.
Me pulling a chip can off of some moron's fist.
It's just. It didn't even have to be like, it was a 5-second shot. It didn't have to be in the movie, but it had to be because it was so perfect. That movie was everything that like he was a fan of, and it just made me so happy, which is why I laughed anytime anyone was like, Rachel got that Kevin Smith question wrong, and I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah, no, that was classic Schmodown. That was classic Schmodown because you're correct. That is the line. And maybe they made the case they weren't looking for the line. And it's the same thing happened in my match too. It's like, well, we weren't technically looking for the line. I'm like, you feel
like that's what you asked for.
The last challenge. So here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun because a lot of
Did you win
people
that
were like,
challenge?
"Of course I did." Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I would have burned the studio down had they denied me that. I'm
that's
like,
a great
no,
thing. I think you have like a red phone that they hit and it goes straight to TJ or PJ's,
PJ.
right? It's
No,
just a,
PJ, PJ was actually there that day. And because I was like, I know what he's asking for. I'm very literal about the questions. Like, if you're asking for something, I'm going to answer the question the way that the question is written and the way that the question is asked. Because a lot of people don't,
because the question was, what did he say?
What did Dante say?
Yeah.
Not what movie.
Two different questions.
Yeah, two completely different questions. And then they tried to say, because I said Empire, and then they kept counting, and that's why Ben said Empire Strikes Back. They claimed that he didn't say it in enough time, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what he said. I answered first, and I had the correct answer. So that's what we were challenging on, and then people were like yelling at me for that. I'm like, no.
Here's a trivia question they will never ask, but we can ask it here. Can you name 3 of the movies that Randall orders? I mean, that's a question they're just never going to ask, but what a great trivia question.
Happy Scrappy Hero Pup.
That's true. That one would count. Okay, besides Happy Scrappy Hero Pup, name 3 movies that Randall orders.
Oh my God.
I think I can.
Oh my God.
Can we start naming them off?
Yeah, please. Go.
Come gargling naked sluts. I know that's one of them. Girls who need cunt. Metalone 2, the KY connection. That's one of them.
Oh my God.
And all holes filled with hard cock. I know that's one of the orders after that.
I think it's all holes filled with cock 8. I know that there's like an 8th version of something. God.
Yeah, there's a couple of sequels in there. Metalone 2, the KY connection.
Metalone 2, the KY connection. Dude, the way
That'd be such a great trivia question. They could never ask that one.
I mean, to be fair, I do a Kevin Smith watch like at least once a year. And I remember once I started competing in this and I found out that Kevin Smith was a category. I was like, oh, this is 100%.
I have found my people.
Oh, Saul. Yes. Big black cocks with curly white cum. Yes.
Hey, there's one.
I like how he failed to continue the capitalization because pearly white cum just doesn't I'm so glad that this is an adults only show.
That's an official title. You got to capitalize each one of those. I hate to check you for grammar. Send it right back.
Actually,
somebody had the best quote here. This is the egg shopping scene. That's a great one. Or the milk lady, as if one in the back won't go bad for like a decade.
Challenge. They are referred to as milkmaids.
Them milkmaids. That's right.
Milkmaids.
Yeah, there's a good trivia. What does he call each one of them? Egg lady, I guess. Milkmaids. Yeah.
Yep. And what profession does the guy with the egg finding the carton of eggs? What does he have?
What does he have, or what is his?
What is his profession?
It goes. That's why I artificially inseminate. That's why you should guys find a job you like. That's why I artificially inseminate
horses.
Horses. Oh God,
he is a guidance counselor, because wouldn't you lose your mind if your job was that redundant?
Right. And then that comes up at the end after they're looking at them. She's like, you should find a career you like. That's why I artificially inseminate.
I love that she taps her lips with the Slim Jim after she leaves when she says
right.
That. It's like, girl.
A lot of details.
but yeah, I every time I rewatch those movies, I'm like, well, they can't ask that, but I know it.
But somebody quoted one of the best lines, which is, and when you finish, say, "Oh, what a lovely tea party." From Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. That line is so funny.
Where is that? Oh, wait.
And when he finishes, you say, "Oh, what a lovely tea party." It's a ridiculous line.
Oh, it's just so great. Who is Kelly is one of my favorites from Clerks 2.
Who's Kelly?
Who is Kelly?
Oh, I don't know.
Sexy, kinky Kelly.
Oh,
Kelly.
Gotcha.
Kelly is the donkey.
Oh, Kelly's the donkey. Oh,
Kelly's the donkey, not the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Kiki Kelly.
Which like he has one of like the most
show.
he has one of the most heartfelt lines in all of Kevin Smith when they're in the jail.
Yeah.
Like that whole discussion between that whole discussion between Randall and Dante is like really sweet, where he's like, don't make me beg, like all that thing. He's like, you know, but then the guy comes in and he's talking about, you know, bestiality, and he's like, yeah, it's just frowned upon. I'm just gonna get slapped on the wrist, like blah blah blah, whatever. And he just goes, I miss my donkey. Like it's so sweet. You're just like, oh, that's so weird for me to feel like this.
Right.
But it's so beautifully done. Like I can't. Wait, Sean Sullivan is not on. Wait, what? Jill, what is going on?
Oh, get to know him. You'd like him.
Maybe live with him for a little bit.
Maybe possibly. Just make sure he doesn't have any weird habits like painting miniatures or anything like that. Just figure that out before you move in.
Does the party not start until Sean and I are here? It's because we bring the alcohol, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, I'm done with I've moved on from my bourbon to the last of the Coors Light that I had a la Mark Ellis when he was on. So cheers, guys.
I don't have booze in the house. I kind of can really go for one. We even just talked for like an hour on beer.
We're actually closing on 2 hours, to be honest.
Yeah, well,
we're at an hour and 40 minutes.
This can't be entertaining to anybody.
I know. How are you guys still here? I love that you are, but like we could literally go on for the rest.
We could start with trivia because I have the tome, the Jedi Master's Quiz Book.
Oh my God! Find some easy ones. I might get them.
These are actually, what's kind of funny. This is actually, I had this. This came out in '82 before Jedi. So there's like 5 Jedi questions based on articles in Starlog that are wrong, I believe. Actually, just funny. But this was like such a huge deal, and I was noted as a Star Wars obsessive. Soon to start. Get my ass kicked in gym for it. But anyway, but when this book came out, everybody's like, oh, is there anything Adam doesn't know? And so then they would go through this and they would point out ones that I didn't know. And so that some of those to this day, I'm like, I know that because I got shamed for not knowing it. But this is this is the very first one. You probably will know some of these. What spaceport was the cantina in?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't compete.
What planet is Princess Leia from?
Define from, because she was born on the volcano.
It fits in this sentence. Blank is peaceful. We have no weapons.
I don't know. What is it?
Alderaan.
Alderaan, that's right. And
Alderaan.
Load up.
We have no weapons. Mos Eisley would be the other one. I'll throw one out for Sean here because I thought, there's a piece of information here that you could only know from the book, the original novelization, or the deleted scene with Biggs Darklighter. And then it was later in the...
I'm sorry, did you say Biggs Darklighter?
Biggs Darklighter. Ain't that a name?
It sounds like a poor name.
I don't memorize Star Wars names. They're so fun.
I do love this from Saul. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've quoted the Randall double fuck you from the post-fight combo. Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! God, that is very close second in the fuck you category to Randy from Scream 2.
Randy from Scream 2 has a good fuck you?
Oh my God, yeah. When they're on the phone, like they're on the college campus, and like the killer's on the phone with Randy, and they're trying to find, the killer. So Randy's like running around, and the killer's like mocking him and taunting at him, and he's like, "You're never gonna get the girl," and he just goes, "Fuck you!" And it's like the best fuck you. But the Randall double fuck you comes in a very, very, very close second to that. Yes, I know. Saul, I don't compete in Star Wars.
What is that? There's the movie that I was trying to think. I'm like, well, what's my fuck you that I immediately go to? What is it? Midnight Run? It goes, fuck you! Leave me the fuck alone! And then hangs up the phone. What is that from? I can't even.
I want to. Midnight Run sounds right.
Fuck you.
It's been a really long time since I've seen Midnight Run.
Oh, no. Lebowski. That's Lebowski. Yes, there is a message here, Walter. It's fuck you! Leave me the fuck alone! Of course it's from Lebowski.
I was forced to watch that movie so many times. I can't stand it anymore.
But here's a class. I'm going to ask one last one here, just because I know Sean's watching. This is
Sean claims that Alex Damon's favorite character is Big Starklighter.
It is. That's weird. He's fine. I think it's the mustache. Alex must not be able to grow a mustache. That's my theory on that one.
Who is Scissor Fist?
Scissor Fist? That would be Therm Scissor Punch, is the real name of a real character that sits next to Han Solo in Solo: A Star Wars Story during the gambling scene. Yeah,
it sounds like something you would do. It sounds like something you would do in torture porn. Like, I don't understand.
And for all the Therm Scissor Punches I know, and all the Nemoidians and stuff I know, I don't get asked any of that for my last 5 points. That's just ridiculous. I can tell you all kinds of stuff, but what was the name of the freighter that Biggs Darklighter served on after graduating from the academy? Now, you wouldn't know this from the movie. In fact, most people wouldn't know it at all, but this is a great Star Wars term, and I know this from the NPR radio show. Did you know that they did a NPR radio theater version of the Star Wars from an earlier draft with a lot of Jabba scenes and all that stuff? So when I was a kid, I would crowd around the radio and listen to old time radio, but it was Star Wars. So good.
Sean.
And they're all on YouTube right now. So if anybody hasn't heard the NPR Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, they're both on YouTube right now. And they're fantastic. They're these very expansive versions of it. Like, so, bullseyeing Womp Rats on a T-16. That scene's in there where they do that he's referring to. Or Beggar's Canyon where they race in his T-16. That's in there. That's in the thing. But so is this piece of information. And I just love this as a Star Wars term. The ship is called the Randicliptic. There you go.
I'm sorry, the what?
A Randicliptic. This is your new name at Starbucks if we ever end up back there. You got to write that in.
Randicliptic.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Randicliptic. Yeah. Now what's so funny is there's all kinds of Star Wars trivia you don't know, but you do know the name of Big's ship that he jumped to join the rebellion.
Jeez.
The Randicliptic.
Randicliptic.
There's a lot of fun Star Wars.
Never gonna remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
so we're going to end this with playing a couple clips from Captain Caveman, right?
Yes! Oh my God, Captain Caveman!
Can I share my screen? I don't think I can do that.
Son. Yeah, you should be able to.
Do I have that option here? That'd be funny. I mean, if it would play off of a DVD, we could watch a scene from the Captain Caveman.
Yeah, are we going to get shut down for that?
I don't know. We're not prepared for this. But I will tell you a funny Captain Caveman story is because every Christmas I ask for a cartoon and an action figure because I'm just like, I just want kid stuff. And on Saturday mornings I watch cartoons because I'm like, they could take cartoons off Saturday mornings. I don't have to watch the news when I get up. I'm going to watch some cartoons. So I have a pretty good collection of them. But
I support that.
Yeah. And so at Christmas I had this. And, I had a bunch of gifts and stuff, and I was on my way out of town, and I stopped with my cousins, and we have these all-night backgammon sessions. And so we're playing backgammon, 1, 2, and some bring out other games. This is like a big board game thing. Well, and I just put this on in the background, Captain Caveman, the full season 1. Captain Caveman shouts Captain Caveman no less than 6 or 7 times an episode. So you're absolutely tuning out this Hanna-Barbera voices and you're like, blah, 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 oh, a Jinkies and all this sort of stuff. And, way better villains than Scooby-Doo, I was surprised to find. I love the villains in this, really. Yeah, but it's all Scooby-Doo adventure stuff. And then just every 3 minutes, Captain Caveman! There's no imitating that way he does that. That was Mel Blanc who did Bugs Bunny and every cartoon at that time.
Did they ever explain how his son came to be? Because I don't remember there ever being a Mrs. Caveman. Just one day there was an and son, and you're like, wait, hold on there.
that was such a crazy thing. And I was very obsessed with cartoons at this time. This was the years that like Captain Caveman came out was also the years that Plastic Man came out, the Plastic Man cartoon, which I loved. And there was another one called a werewolf called Fang Face. And I loved Fang Face. And weirdly, and I don't know where the letter came down from the network, all 3 got kids at the same time in the season. Baby Plaz, Baby Wolfman, Fang Face, and then Baby Caveman. And I was like, it's almost was like I kind of stepped out of just being cartoons. And I'm like, going on here?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
What happened?
Yeah. Very strange. But yes. So I do remember that because I was like, oh, wait, I knew what it was. Scrappy Doo was a huge hit.
Oh.
And then they're like, we got to save these cartoons. Everybody's getting a baby. And so I think that's all the Hanna-Barbera ones got those.
I love that Jedi McPimp says, I once was Captain Caveman. Hell yeah, you were.
Oh, that's a great Halloween costume.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, if you ever dressed up as Cousin It, you can instantly revise that costume into Captain Caveman.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, just give it a little bit of a trim. Just give it some layers. Cut it out so you can, like, walk around barefoot so they can see your feet, and, like, add eyes. That's all you need. Oh, and, like, yeah,
love the cape. Love the cape here.
The cape and the mallet.
I mean, he's kind of a genius creation. Just look at that. And he walks around mumbling all the time in that sort of Mel Blanc, who's like so good as a.
It's very pre Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah. He's better than Tasmanian Devil. I never liked Tasmanian Devil, but Captain Caveman is pretty good. And it's a great group costume for Halloween too. Look at the
oh, for sure. Oh yeah, the babes that followed him.
Teen Angels, as they were called.
Dude, I just love the fact that every African American female cartoon had the most bitchin' afro of all time. Like every single time there was an African American female, like it was just so beautiful and so perfect. And it always made me hate the fact that I had like the thinnest, at the time blonde, and now it is blonde again. But it was just like it was just the saddest hair. And as a white girl, I was like, oh, I want to be cool. They're so pretty. No, the white girls are stupid.
I had the curliest hair. You could see it start to curl now that I haven't cut my hair in many, many months. And as a kid, I was like, oh, I hated it because you had to do stuff with curly hair. You had to do things and this sort of stuff. And all my other friends had this straight, bowl cut. Cool kids. I was like, they just wake up and go to school and mine's all crazy and stuff. Yeah. But now I like it.
Yeah. Just keep the beard. We'll be fine.
I shall. I'm actually. I had been trimming it and stuff. I'm going to actually go for the next sort of level and see.
Just puff it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to do any trimming for a couple weeks here and just see like kind of how it starts to fill out a little bit.
Yes, that's going to make me very, very happy. Somebody said, any love for Hong Kong Phooey? I can't remember Hong Kong Phooey.
Hong Kong Phooey is #1 super guy. Hong Kong Phooey. Yeah, that was great. He was a janitor dog, and they would jump into a filing cabinet, and he would pop out the bottom as Hong Kong Phooey. Kung Fu was such big pop culture. Like this is just post Bruce Lee, and people. I think all of America was just like martial arts is a thing, and then Elvis was taking karate, and it was such a phenomenon. I mean, Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, became a comic. Iron Fist became a comic. And then, of course, the other cultural thing, Luke Cage, sort of the Black Power, that sort of thing, too. They were super culturally, like, hip, Marvel and all these things. Yeah.
And then also, Kung Fu, the TV show.
The Kung Fu, the TV show.
Which is when we got David Carradine, which God bless him.
And yes, and I actually got to hang out with David Carradine. One of the first movies I ever worked on was a David Carradine movie. Yeah. That was pretty cool. He's a good guy. He told a lot of stories. He would big rock on tour and tell you a lot of stories. Tell you one that he told me was that he was friends with Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford showed up after shooting Star Wars. I don't know if they were finished shooting Star Wars, but he came over super drunk because he just thought he'd made the worst mistake in his career, and he had sort of waited on the outskirts of of acting, and this is his first lead. Yeah. And he just came over drunk and depressed and saying, "It's this dumb movie, and nobody's going to hire me after this." That was one.
Well, Jedi Pimp apparently is out, so going to catch the rest later. There's not. I mean, we could go on for hours, but I think we're going to end soon. So
we've covered. What have we covered? We covered Clerks. We covered Captain Caveman. PBR.
Yep.
Versus Heineken. Got that. What else do we cover? We covered the Warped Tour.
We did. We covered The Who. We covered not The Who. We covered your first concerts. We covered John Williams. We covered A whole bunch of stuff.
We forgot to cover the Who. Okay, speaking of the Who,
We can cover the Who.
So they played at the Hollywood Bowl last year. Hollywood Bowl, rest in peace.
It's not dead. It's just on hiatus.
No, it's outdoors. It'll be fine. It's outdoors. Yeah. They'll figure it out.
I'm actually really surprised that they haven't reopened for this summer and like taken spray chalk to the grass to like mark off areas. It would be so simple to do, but then people would get drunk on Zinfandel and like wander around. So I get it. But it's doable.
But the Who was one of those bands I thought, just like I was going to say this earlier with Pink Floyd, is like, I'm never going to see The Wall. I'm never going to see Roger Waters. I missed that. And then I got to see it. And same thing with the Who. It's like, I'm never going to see the Who. And I missed that. But now I got to see them with a full orchestra there and really playing their asses off. Like you were hearing the real Who. It was pretty cool. But the better Who story is that my mom and stepdad were at the famous Who concert in Cincinnati. Where there was a rush of people and several people got killed. And it was such a traumatic event that WKRP had to devote an entire episode to it. So, But that's kind of a crazy piece of history. The Who concert. The Who concert.
Who concert. Yeah. All right. If anybody has any Streamlabs that they want to send in, send this in now. We're probably going to go for another like maybe 10 more minutes and then close it down because it is closing in on 2 hours. I mean, between Adam and I, we can literally talk for the next like 5 hours, but like
everything. It's got to be boring to some people.
I mean, we're entertained, and that's all that really matters.
Frankly,
but the fact that you're still here, thank you. Oh, look at that, Alex! And as I say that, Alex is back.
But really, my time limit is not the voice. It's how sweaty these things are getting right here.
Guys, it's my ears are starting to get a little uncomfortable with the buds.
Yeah, that's the.
Was it Saul said earlier? You know
what? I'm so upset. I have these headphones I use that are they're bone conduction audio, right?
Oh.
So, you never actually put anything in your ear. This is just for like walking around and listening to stuff. It's bone conduction headphones that through the vibrations, you can hear inside your head the music. It's just vibrating. And I usually use these for things like that just as playback because you can't even see them. They just slip over my ear. You can still see my ears. There's nothing in my ears, that sort of thing. And then I did the Roka show right before my Star Wars match, and I thought I'd hacked the system, and I had my real microphone here and everything. But the headphone overtook it, and I sound like I'm on. Everybody was asking on the comments, are like, "Is Adam calling in from the International Space Station?" That was so upsetting. I was like, "Oh yes, I'm on the Roka and Bateman show. Like I finally made it." And there I'm like,
and then the Russians.
Then these Russians, I'll tell you what, Nikolai Volkov.
Oh man,
rock and wrestling. I'll tell you what, $1 million idea. We animate everybody in Schmodown and do Rock and Schmodown, like a Saturday morning cartoon. With all of us in like crazy adventures as like animated characters. That would be.
I mean, I had talked to probably at least a year ago. I had talked to Christian about trying to find sponsorship before we got Skybound and everything because I was like, yeah, like I used to work in sponsorship and all that, so I would love to help you find anything. So I really wanted to get Funko to sponsor the Schmodown, and then all of the competitors would get their own Funkos. And as like part of the Patreon, that we would do one match a month, and it would just be the Funkos
doing it, yeah.
And we would just it would be like a match that we would record, but we would just put in the audios for it.
Sure, yeah.
And it would just be the Funkos like on like a Funko set. Like I thought that it would have been so great. Like I was like, this is going to be so fantastic. And then like nobody at Funko took my email. And I was like,
you have the perfect question to put it in the subject matter of a repost of this exact episode. The question is, if you could have a Funko of one Schmodown competitor, who would it be? Like who's your Funko that you would want?
Everyone's going to say the Outlaw because it would come with the mask. It would come with a hat. Like it's got to be John. I mean, aside from like Harloff and Ellis would have to have their own, and Ellis would have to come with like a baby carrot, like felt out, like carrot outfit, because it has to.
Yeah. But as an animated caricature goes, like the kid, Bibiani and the Kid would be really fun caricatures to see, like the big head and the animated everything.
Yeah, but the kid would have to be a smaller Funko. It would have to be like the sidekick pup.
Great, the Shazam 2-pack with the T-shirts. I think I would go for that. Bibs and the Kid would be really fun Funkos with bobbleheads.
I mean, I have a very dear friend of mine that like does custom made Funkos, but they're like $50 a piece because it's so much work to go into it. And I'm just like, I would really love to have one of those. I think that would be amazing. I think that, having a Switchblade Funko would be hilarious. And to be fair, Rachel Cushing does kind of have one because it's the Galadriel Funko, because she did such a great job dressing as Galadriel for her match that one time. But still,
got votes down here for Cushing and Smets. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, Smets. He would have the hoodie up and like scowling.
You couldn't bobblehead him. He's too serious when he's got the hoodie on. Can't bobblehead him. I'm a bobblehead guy. I mean, Mark Ellis is a bobblehead. Christian's not, right?
Yeah, Mark Ellis. You. I would say the wild berries, but the real rejects would be bobbleheads. God, that match against them was so much fun. I was so glad we got to face them.
Oh, the real rejects?
Yeah, it was just a blast.
Yeah, that match is fun.
Oh my God. Okay, so we do have some Streamlabs in. Thanks, guys.
That's awesome.
I have no idea how to pronounce this. I'm so sorry, but it's Bavo Licino 12 says just want to support one of my favorite Schmodown competitors. I'm gonna take that as both of us, so thank you. And then Alex, you sweet girl. It was just argued in Schmobates which faction would make the best movie musical, The Dungeon or Rock Stars.
Oh well, hands down. That's The Dungeon, right? Who's gonna pass up? Oh yeah, Finstock bobblehead. There you go. Yeah.
Well, no, for a musical, I would have to say the Rockstars because they have Jericho, and Jericho can sing. Like I don't know
celebrity bullshit and just thinking about the old guys.
No, I don't know if you've actually heard. Like Jericho comes out at AEW. His entrance music is one of his band's songs. It's called Judas, and it is one of the catchiest, most amazing things to sing along to. He has a really good voice. I'm actually a little scared for when Jericho comes in because that man is so on top of his movie.
Something about entrances, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, I mean, first of all, I'm a huge fan of his. I have been for years. I mean, talk about a wrestling icon. So I would love to sit down and talk like heel work and like promo work with him. I think that he has such knowledge to like glean off of, but also just I want to, ingratiate myself and be like, tell Cody and Brandy to hire me because I want to work for AEW.
That's a fascinating, that mic technique thing with wrestling. You were talking about The Rock earlier and just how easy he makes that look. Yeah. And that for as much as certain portions of the Schmodown are emulated, the mic technique thing, nobody really tries except for like Roka will go there. We'll really build that one up. And Kalinowski will do that too. And, a couple of them really build it up, but that's a particular technique that isn't often employed in the Schmodown, but you love when someone really gets rolling. You're like, oh, here we go. Here's big wrestling mic technique taking off for the win, especially when somebody feels vindicated because you guys have been talking about this and that.
Yeah, I love it when somebody like really gets into it because as a wrestling fan, like it's so great to hear those amazing promos and like it just brings me back to like Randy Macho Man Savage and like the Hulkamania and the Ultimate Warrior. It takes me back to that like early 90s like craziness and so much fun. Sorry, I just saw this. Yes, Mike K. This is the current longest episode of Music Movies and Mayhem to date. We did make the record. We are over 2 hours. I mean, like I said, we could be going on for fucking forever.
Break records and do Star Wars trivia. Do you know what creature this is? I have a calendar that my aunt gives me. So that is a creature outside of Jabba's palace that sucks up a little being and then burps.
Is that me in the morning?
Sean may not know this one. That is a wart.
Oh,
It's kind of a fun thing I have for studying.
Saul says one of Video Drew's minions actually made a custom Funko of her that looks shockingly accurate. I mean, yeah, it is amazing. It's so
Drew.
good.
That's the no-brainer. That's yeah. I want a Finstock and Video Drew 2-pack. That's what I want.
You have to have like the tearaway T-shirt for Finstock, because like every now and then he'll wear the shirt, but like it has to be able to be removed at like a moment's notice. Actually, it's so funny because like Tom very much reminds me of one of my favorite guys that I've gotten to know through Warped Tour. His name is Danny Bateman, and I love him to death. But like it's Warped Tour, and he was head of setup crew, and so like it's 95 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning when they're setting up the stages, and like they have to set up those 40 by 20 tents, and that's a lot of work, and there's pipes that they're moving, and so like none of the guys wear shirts. And so like I never recognize Danny when I see him with a shirt on, because like 99% of our interactions have him been in just like cargo shorts and like skater shoes and like just sweating, because it's Warped Tour and that's what you do. So like I saw him one time like in jeans and a t-shirt, and he's one of those guys that like is very dear to me and is like a brother. So like we would just sexually harass each other to the point where it was like it was never harassment to us. Like if people witnessed what we were saying to each other, they're like, "What is going on?" But it was just banter and it was fun. And
call HR.
Yeah, exactly. We actually had to have an HR meeting one time before Warped Tour, and they're like, it was a talk about sexual harassment, and Danny walked up to me and he's like, "Have I ever sexually harassed you?" And I'm like, "Have I ever said no?" Like, no, I'm not gonna like, no, I give it just as well as I get. Like, this is fun. Like, I love you for that because you're my brother and you're my friend, and it's so much fun.
Then you go to the HR tent, and you can tell that she's a little upset because she is not being taken seriously because she's in an HR tent.
Yes.
Look, guys, I was in an office when I went into human resources.
But like, he walked up to me like fully clothed, and like said something to me like he would at Warped Tour, and I turned around like ready to throw fists because I'm like, who is this asshole? What is he saying to me? And then I saw his face. I'm like, I did not recognize you. I am so sorry. He's like, why? Because I'm wearing clothes? And I'm like, yes, because I don't recognize you when you're not wearing clothes.
I never realized that must
happen to say.
I never realized that must happen in pornography all the time. Those people must not even recognize each other. And with that, we have the longest episode and podcast.
And with that, I'm checking Streamlab one last time.
And the movie guys Funkos, of course. The question is, what should our t-shirts say?
All right. So since there are no more Streamlabs coming in, I am going to ask, I'm going to close this out the way that I always do. One of my favorite movies of all time is Almost Famous, and it is turning 20 this year, and I am so excited there is a podcast that is reviewing it, and I'm so excited. It's coming out on July 8th. You can check out Rolling Stone for the link. But my favorite question that I always love to ask people and close this out with is the very last question that William asks, and it is, do you have to be happy to write a love song? Do you have to be sad to write a sad song? What is it that you love about music?
Me?
Yeah, you.
What did the guy say in the movie? Can I say what he said? What is it that I love about music? I just love the concert idea. You're playing in concert. Concert is a adjective, right? Or is it? It's a word that describes two things happening in parallel that are working together, right? Whether it's improv or whether it's comedy or whatever, you're always working in concert. And the idea of working in concert with a band, but when you look at the orchestra, the idea of that, it's like that violin has to go with that, cello has to go with that, and those all have to come down at the same time, as the woodwinds all have to rise at the same time in concert, and everything has to happen. That's just I would say I definitely love. I don't know if that's my favorite thing about music, but I do love the in concert aspect. The fact that you have to practice together, you have to sync up, and that the concert is a noun and a
verb,
adjective or verb, adverb probably. Just the concert aspect of it. The idea of how long it takes to get two instruments to play correct at the same time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, you look at the whole level of concert. And also one other thing, and I found this out from working closely with some of John Williams people that would go to the sessions, and so the rehearsal. Actually, I got invited to the rehearsal, but I don't think I ever went to one at the Hollywood Bowl. The rehearsals at the Bowl, by the way, are free. That's public land. You could just walk right in and watch the warm up at like 4:00 on the afternoon. But this was transferred to me about John Williams' technique when he's working out, and just why his are so precise, his scores, that you hear 100 instruments or however many they are play, Duel of Fates or whatever, and then all that quiets down, and John Williams goes, cello, can I at the end of that, and to just go to ask the cello to do this at the end of it instead of that, and let that be the, and then just these little tiny notes like that, and then everything comes in again. Being able to narrow in on that concert nature of how they're playing a concert. Anyway.
Yeah, Camshaft says, Witt's answer is so deep. I love it. #concert. I love that every time I ask that question, I get a very different answer from every single person I've asked. It makes me so happy. So go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and track you down and support you.
Definitely go to the Movie Guys on Facebook and YouTube, and check out, if you haven't heard it already, and our podcast feed as well, because if you haven't heard it already, we did a 2-hour play-by-play sports commentary for Star Wars, and it was kind of a challenge, and we're like, well, we have to write jokes and do jokes for 2 hours, and so we did, and eventually got that made, and I'm very proud of that. There's just a lot. I mean, really, you could listen to the first 10 minutes and catch the first 2 sketches, or it's just a bunch of sketches. Each time you go to Mos Eisley, here comes that sketch, or there's commercials and that sort of stuff. I just thought it was a very clever thing. I'll be putting some clips out too. I wanted to wait till my Star Wars match is over, but go check that out. That's a lot of fun. And then subscribe to the Movie Guys, because we have 10 years of content on there. We did a show for 8 years. And one thing Paul's doing, which is fantastic, is for 4 years of us doing the Showcast, which was our show where we did an interview and sketches and previews and all this sort of stuff. Karen always ended that with a Entertainment Tonight piece where she did birthdays. And the great thing about the birthday segment is, of course, you can run it every year at this time, because this is the week of those birthdays. So Paul has pulled the full archive and is releasing them every Friday in conjunction with what are those birthdays still, and she tried to do different people every week, even though we progressed with 4 years worth of it. But it's so great to see those again. And that's the loosest we are on that show. We were kind of a somewhat scripted show. We would have guests in that wouldn't know what the hell we were doing with the script, and they would get confused, but then they would enjoy our goofiness. But that point in the show where Karen did the birthdays was always where everybody else we were done with our script. The interviewer had realized we were crazy people, but crazy like a fox, and that they enjoyed us, and they were just enjoying our vibe. And then that's where everyone just sat around and cut up. And sometimes the birthdays would be 10 minutes with cut ups and jokes and from the earlier in the show and bring back and stuff. Those are a lot of fun. Those are a really good insight. And Paul's releasing those every Friday. No, it's Karen's birthdays. So definitely subscribe to YouTube so you can get Karen's birthdays every week.
Yep. And she is a gem, and you are amazing. Follow, subscribe, everything that Paul has. The Twitter and Instagram links are right there. They're also in the description of the video. Thank you again so much. I'll be talking to you in a quick second, but thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, sure thing.
Guys, you are the best. Thank you for hanging out for over 2 hours with us.
Thanks, Mom, for being here the whole time.
Thank you, Mom. Mom, you're the best. It was so much fun. Next week, I don't have a flyer for it yet because I fell behind. But next week, sorry, I'm trying to find my calendar, which apparently is eluding me. I do have a guest lined up because I got prepared, and I am like, I'm not taking a maybe for that. Next week, I am going to have.
She don't take maybe. She don't wait in line.
Next week I will have one of my favorite people on in the Schmodown. He is so funny and so just endearing, and you just want to hug him every time you see him. I am having Warfather on next week,
nice.
So it is going. I'm very excited to see him. Eric will be on next week. I'll be sending out the reminder, so come back at 7 for that. I'm very, very happy that you guys are here. Follow, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell to be reminded for all of my videos that come out. Join the Patreon. We have so much fun. Be sending more things out lately. And thank you and have a great week. Be kind to each other, and I love you. And now we get to awkward dance.
I'm still live, but you're gone. Wait a second. Oh, now I can host my entire own show right now. All right. I'll bring back some of the classics here from my college days.
No, it's always fun when you hit and broadcast because I'm a genius. You know what I'm doing. Da, 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 da. Okay, ready for
the Jedi Knights of modern rock. I'm ready to do my whole. I'm going to break out some records here.
All right, so try to go up and awkward dance off. Da, 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 da.